people injured, a series of other people as well. We're going to get the latest for you from authorities as some of the investigations are going on, while we're also getting some more information on the identities of just who some of those people were, both killed or injured here in Milwaukee. And then one of the other big things we're following as well is happening in our nation's capital. You're seeing some of the leaves turning on the National Mall and outside of the White House, where a rather important visitor was at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue today. That would be the Prime Minister of Australia, and we'll get you some details on what Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and President Donald Trump agreed on today, a critical minerals deal that could be a major deal for both of those countries trying to counter China, and especially China's influence both globally and specifically in the Pacific region, of course, very closely aligned with so many other countries in that area, Australia and the U.S., along with their partners, trying to counter some of the power in that region. So we'll get you some details on what was discussed at the White House today and get you some of the other things happening around the country and here locally as well. And since we still have it up, why don't we pop up what was, let me see if I can do this for you real quick, a nice shot of Arizona, because why not? On a beautiful sunny day here in Milwaukee, we'll give you a sunny view from Chase Field. That's where the Arizona Diamondbacks play in Arizona, of course, while farther away in the suburbs of Glendale, outside of Phoenix, is where the Packers got their first road win of the season yesterday over the Arizona Cardinals. It wasn't exactly pretty. Team in the Arizona Cardinals that had lost a series of games in a row, 4, I believe. The Packers expected to roll. They were favorites. They end up needing a comeback win in the fourth quarter to get a 27-23 victory. But it is their first victory of the season on the road after a loss and that tie in Dallas that we had earlier in the season. So a road victory for the Packers. They have, let's just say, an even bigger game coming up this following weekend. Lots of time to preview this and all the storylines that will happen leading up to the Packers and the Steelers on Sunday Night Football coming this weekend. And that would be Aaron Rodgers against his former team. Didn't necessarily have to have that reunion matchup at his previous stop in New York with the Jets. But now with the Steelers, who have been playing pretty well this season. Rodgers actually just had a fantastic game in a loss going up against Joe Flacco in a matchup of 40-something quarterbacks who continue to produce above what their age would necessarily lead you to believe based on NFL history. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers, a chance to go against Micah Parsons in that Packers defense in prime time. You think that game's going to get a good rating on Sunday night from the Steel City? Yeah, I think so for sure. So we'll get some fun in the next few days previewing that for you as well. All right, we see what else we got for you. It is a Monday afternoon. We had that meeting between the President and the Prime Minister of Australia that happened earlier this morning. So this is a live look as the motorcade. You can see the flags of both the U.S. on the left and Australia on the right there, prepared to leave the White House once the meetings wrap up. But why don't we get you some of the details of what was discussed and agreed upon. This is coming from the Associated Press. I'm just going to kind of go through this with you as we handle some of the agreement that these two world leaders came to this morning at the White House, now seeing a live look this afternoon of the building in D.C. President Donald Trump, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, all had a series of meetings with their officials today, signing a critical minerals deal at the White House, with the U.S. eyeing Australia's rare earth resources at a time when China is imposing some tougher rules on exporting their own critical minerals abroad. And these are products that are needed in the latest and greatest of technology that's kind of driving this technological and artificial intelligence arms race. So we'll see what happens with that. The two leaders, though, from Australia and the U.S. described the agreement, still with plenty of details to be announced, as an $8.5 billion deal between the allies. The president said this is actually the result of months of negotiations over the last several months leading to this $8.5 billion deal. And as for the Prime Minister of Australia, he said today's agreement on critical minerals and rare earths is just taking the relationship to the next level between the U.S. and its ally in Australia. Now, the part of the response for this is the fact that earlier this month, the Chinese government had said it would require foreign companies to get approval from the government to export magnets containing even trace amounts of those rare earth materials originating from China or produced with Chinese technology. And the Trump administration says that this would give China broad power over the global economy by controlling the supply chain for so many different technologies. Australia, meanwhile, is going to try to help out the U.S. and other countries here in an effort to, quote, take the global economy and make it less risky, less exposed to the kind of rare earth extortion that we're seeing from the Chinese. That was coming from the director of the White House's National Economic Council, Kevin Hassett, on Monday here, telling reporters about the details of this meeting between Australia and the U.S. Australia apparently has one of the best mining economies in the world and has praised its refiners, the abundance of these rare earth resources. Among the Australian officials accompanying the group today, the Prime Minister, are some of the ministers who oversee resources and industry and science in the country and on the continent, which does have dozens of those critical minerals sought by the U.S. Now, if you're curious about this, a number of different things could come from it, but again, an agreement, $8.5 billion. If you're wondering about the Prime Minister of Australia and not as familiar with him, he was actually re-elected just last May and is kind of a center-left politician in Australia. He suggested shortly after that victory last spring that his party increased its majority by not modeling itself on Trumpism. At the time, during his victory speech, he said, Australians have chosen to face global challenges the Australian way, looking after each other while building for the future, though obviously today they take a chance to build together with their ally in the United States and President Donald Trump in the White House there. So that's a little bit of what we're following from our nation's capital on this Monday afternoon. Another live look from up above the White House there. The Prime Minister of Australia, Anthony Albanese, and President Donald Trump agreeing today on a $8.5 billion deal for critical rare earth materials and resources to be used in technological advances, easy for me to say, in an agreement that had been negotiated over the last several months. All right, that's one of the things we are tracking for you here on this Monday afternoon. You know what? Why don't we take a quick break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, and then we have one other thing to tell you about coming out of the Wisconsin football program. It has not been the year that many people expected in Madison with Luke Fickell in his third year. We'll get into a bit of the reassurance that the athletic director for Wisconsin gave to his beleaguered head coach today. Interesting nuggets coming in just about 2 minutes here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll be right back.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. Carl Defmo with you here on this Monday afternoon. It is 12:41, hanging out on Fox Local as well as the FOX6 Milwaukee YouTube channel. We give you another live look outside. It's nice out there on this Monday afternoon. The temperature's just about 61 degrees. Going to get a little bit warmer than that throughout the rest of the day. A bit breezy, you might notice that. And the leaves certainly changing too. Even in this wider view, you can see Red Arrow Park there, just across the street from the Marcus Performing Arts Center. Quite a few golden leaves in the trees surrounding Red Arrow Park. All right, before we went to break there, I mentioned something with the Wisconsin football program. We want to get you the latest on an update from the athletic director, Chris McIntosh, and much of this is coming from ESPN's Adam Rittenberg reporting, as well as our sister station, NBC 15, out in Madison, saying that the athletic director, Chris McIntosh, released a statement to football season ticket holders supporting head coach Luke Fickell. And this is notable because of the difficult season that the Badgers are having in Madison. Yes, there have been injuries, but also the play on the field does not match the quality and standard that fans were hoping for. McIntosh, in part of that statement, says, quote, "Coach Fickell sees the potential in what this team can be, as do I, and he shares the same disappointment and frustration." Now, the Badgers right now are on a 5-game losing streak. In fact, back-to-back shutout losses to Big Ten rivals Iowa, and then most recently this weekend, Ohio State. Now, granted, the Buckeyes are number 1 in the nation, but still not even scoring a point in a loss to who you expect to be in contention with for Big Ten titles and potentially playoff spots year in, year out. Ohio State blanked the Badgers 34-0 this past Saturday. So in that statement, McIntosh, the athletic director in Madison, said, quote, "I share in the disappointment with this football season to date. It has fallen well short of our standards. At Wisconsin, we do not shy away from setting lofty expectations for our team, our coaches, and myself." Right now, Wisconsin, under Luke Fickell, on a 2-5 start to the year, midway through or so. But again, the 5 straight losses, 2 of them in the last 2 weeks, by shutout fashion, not at all what the fans want to see, students or alums out in Madison. Now, this has caused some upheaval within the Badger fan base, some of them already calling for Fickell to be fired. We've already seen that happen to one Big Ten coach this year, James Franklin, out at Penn State, no longer running the show there. Seems like for now, though, Luke Fickell has the backing of his athletic director. That's the most important right there. The statement continued with McIntosh saying, quote, "While our coaches, staff, and student athletes continue to demonstrate the work ethic and values that represent UW football, the results are simply not where any of us want them to be." Here's an important quote, though. "We still have a lot of football to play this season. With the support and significant involvement of Chancellor Mnuchin, athletics is committed to elevating the investment in our football program to position us to compete at the highest level." So that's a notable part of the statement as well, saying that the athletics department, the school in general with the chancellor, committed to elevating the investment in our football program. So will there be more money going towards the football program to try to turn things around, right the ship? It's not like it gets any easier for the Badgers going forward. So those back-to-back shutout losses, Iowa and number 1 Ohio State, blanking the Buckeyes last weekend. Next up, they go to Eugene, Oregon. This is a Big Ten game. Still getting used to that here in the era of conference realignment. But the Oregon Ducks await the Buckeyes this Saturday. Oregon ranked number 6 in the country right now, so it's not like the quality of opponent gets any easier for Wisconsin. Plus, it's a road game. And they still have to play Indiana, which has really had a program resurgence the last few years. They're up to number 2 in the latest ranking. So difficult sledding for the Badgers still to come potentially in Madison and on the road this season. It's already been ugly at times, but at least for now, the athletic director, Chris McIntosh, is saying not only do they back Luke Fickell as the head coach of the Wisconsin Badgers, but they plan to increase their financial stake in that by putting money towards the football program in an effort to support Fickell and try to turn this season around. Fickell, by the way, in his 3rd year, if you're following, which I'm sure many Badgers fans are, just 15-18 at the school. And again, 5 of those losses have come this season in consecutive fashion here. Wisconsin, those 2 home shutout losses to Iowa and Ohio State, the team's first home shutouts since 1980, and they had them in back-to-back weeks in front of the fans, many of whom were not in the stands or at least left as things got so ugly the last couple weeks. The fans have certainly been firing or chanting for Fickell to be fired, but right now athletic director Chris McIntosh, who knows that program so well, used to be a star for the Badgers football team back in the day, says no, that will not be the case right now. Another quote from McIntosh from that statement, in this new era of collegiate athletics, the clear reality is that high expectations must be matched with an equal level of support. The results of this elevated support may not be immediate, but we are confident the direction will be positive and long-term. So remains to be seen what will happen. Of course, the quarterback injuries for Wisconsin have been a real issue throughout not only this season, but this tenure for Luke Fickell in Madison. Wisconsin's offense, though, not anywhere near where they expect to be. Those back-to-back shutouts, and they actually rank 132nd in the country in scoring. Not exactly what a storied program with the offensive line and running back tradition like Wisconsin would expect to see with Luke Fickell running the show there in Madison. But for now, he does get to continue to run the show, so that's the good news for Fickell and his staff. All right, let's get you something else. I thought this was kind of interesting, so let's pop up that tower camera again from the Modern camera. So just in the middle of the buildings, you can kind of see, if you're familiar with the Milwaukee skyline there, in the middle, that tall building is the tallest in town. That's the U.S. Bank building. Just to the right of there, the small cylinder just below the horizon of Lake Michigan, that's the Pfister. The Pfister, if you'd love to work at that historic and infamously haunted hotel, has a storyteller program job posting they just put out today and announced that sounds really interesting. So a number of the Marcus hotels, whether it's the Pfister or the St. Kate Arts Hotel, have artists in residence, people who work there for a period of time, usually a year at a time, and get supported to produce their art, and burgeoning art careers kind of get a boost there at the different hotels. Well, this is their storyteller in residence program at the Pfister. It says it's designed to capture and share the unique stories that define the character of that historic property, the rich history of the building, its acclaimed art collection, the experiences of our talented staff and everyday guests. The storyteller will explore and document what makes the Pfister truly special. So this will be a series of events you'll get to go to, explore the different services and amenities offered at the hotel, as well as what probably piques my interest the most, a rich source of inspiration and history from the different stories and people that have gone through. Of course, this was the destination, continues to be, for all the different professional sports teams that come through town to play Milwaukee, different teams here, presidents, a series of them, including the current president, Donald Trump, have stayed at that hotel. And then you add the layer of all the ghost stories, right? We just heard this with the NLCS and Dodgers outfielder Teoscar Hernandez. His wife would not stay at the Pfister with the team, so instead Hernandez, his family, had to figure out some other lodging in town because of experiences that other ball players have had. Mookie Betts on the Dodgers, another one that over the years has said he would not stay at the Pfister because of whether or not it's haunted. So maybe you could take this position and get to the bottom of the storyteller in residence position. If you're curious what kind of money goes with this, averaging a minimum of 10 hours per week during that one-year term, so it's not exactly a full-time job, but kind of what you make of it with a minimum of 10 hours. Content creation, they say you have to average 2 social media posts per week, 1 blog post per week, so you'll be constantly producing some things there. And what you get for it, the compensation, $1,000 monthly, as well as a $150 monthly food and beverage allowance within the hotel. So if you want to drink at Blue or maybe go to Mason Street Grill, you get a little help with that. And self-parking, complimentary self-parking, which downtown in Milwaukee, that's no joke. There you go. And a daily meal in the hotel cafeteria. If you're interested, you can find much more on the Pfister's website, but the applications are open through October 31st. And then what we will be interested in seeing, the stories that come from the storyteller in residence. Hey, let's get you back to the White House real quick, because the doors are opening there at the motorcade. You see some of the people getting in after the appearance and agreement between the Australian Prime Minister and President Donald Trump when it comes to rare earth minerals and an $8.5 billion deal agreed upon today. So there you have the black SUV leaving the White House. The Australian flag was aboard. Some of the other staff, I would imagine, on that black bus that you just saw off screen as well. But a successful meeting for the still relatively new Prime Minister of Australia and President Donald Trump at the White House today, agreeing on an $8.5 billion deal between allies over the production and use of critical minerals as a way to counter China and the Chinese leadership in that department. Many of these materials, it's kind of a tricky name if you've read up on this a little bit. Rare earth makes it sound like these are incredibly rare elements or minerals that wouldn't be found elsewhere. The resources themselves are actually not rare. It's the mining process and procuration process that is difficult. So China has kind of led the way on this, providing the mass majority of rare earth materials for the world to some degree, but now a counter from Australia and the U.S. agreeing to work together on this as a counter for China's influence and power in that department. All right, while that happens, we just saw the departure there at the White House. We'll give you an aerial view as well with those two relatively new flagpoles and flags blowing in the breeze in our nation's capital. It means we're ready for another break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, 12:52. We'll see what we can find locally and around the country, maybe the world, for you here on Wild, as we like to call it. Stick around. We'll be back in 2 minutes with much more on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back. Carl Defenbaugh with you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, 12:55, approaching the 1 o'clock hour on this Monday afternoon. I get to handle first hour duties for you here on Wild. Haley Spittler will handle the second hour. And then, as we have expanded in the last couple of weeks to a third hour each and every Monday through Friday afternoon for you, Ben Handelman will get the honors before his regularly scheduled newscast opportunities and obligations. Hey, one thing for the sports fans out there, many people still absolutely in awe of Shohei Ohtani, who absolutely obliterated the Milwaukee Brewers in many different ways, unfortunately, last Friday night, completing a sweep for the Dodgers. They are moving on to the World Series with their star, let's just say, breaking out of a slump in a big way. First ever player to strike out 10 people on the mound, hit 3 home runs at the plate in the history of Major League Baseball's postseason. I believe that was actually the first time that it happened in any game in baseball history, regular or postseason, a combination of 10 strikeouts as a pitcher, 3 home runs as a batter, and he does it in a clinching game to send his team, the defending champs, back to the World Series. Just absolutely astounding, and even the Brewers had to tip their caps to Ohtani and the Dodgers as the season ended for the Brewers. They'll do their regular locker clean out and head to the offseason with plenty to hang their hats on this season. A magical year for Milwaukee that ultimately fell short with a sweep in the NLCS. Now, as for who the Dodgers will face in the Fall Classic, well, that is still very much up in the air. We are getting ready for the 2 best words in sports. Game 7 of the ALCS will be tonight, right here on Fox, by the way, so you can watch it either on Fox or Fox Sports 1, between the Blue Jays and the Mariners in this decisive Game 7. Should be a good one as we watch the way that this series has played out. So the Mariners on the road win the first 2 games of this series, same like the Dodgers did in Milwaukee. And you think, man, are both of these series over already? Well, not at all. The Blue Jays come storming back when the series shifted to Seattle, winning a pair of slugfests for them, 13-4, 8-2 to even the series. Then the Mariners get back on track, give their home fans something to cheer for with a 6-2 win in Game 5, while the Blue Jays bounce right back as the series shifted back to Toronto, winning 6-2 last night. Vlad Guerrero Jr. continues to be so impressive. 6 home runs so far in the postseason. That's actually tied for the most by a Blue Jay player in any postseason with 2 other people that you have definitely heard of before, 2 of the stars. So that all sets up for a Game 7 tonight. Mariners, Blue Jays, right here on Fox. I believe that game starts around 7 o'clock Central Time here, but let me check that for you real quick. All right, so yes, as we get you going for the game tonight, that will be a 7 o'clock Central Time. Right after that, as was the case for the Brewers, right? 7:08 was the traditional time. 7 o'clock is what they list for first pitch tonight, but we'll see if it's a few minutes after that. And as Vlad Guerrero Jr. said, anything can happen in a Game 7. This has been a really fun series. Lots of offense, unlike what we saw in the Dodgers-Brewers series for most of it anyway. But instead, the ALCS will go the distance to a Game 7 after the Blue Jays kept their season alive, a win Sunday night to force this showdown. There's so much history here. The Blue Jays trying to get back to the World Series and win their first pennant since 1993, while for the Mariners, they have never won and, in fact, have never even made it to the World Series. So trying to reach Baseball Summit for the first time in a franchise history that spans nearly 5 decades. They've never made it to the World Series. They could do it tonight with a win in Game 7. We'll see what happens, as Toronto certainly has other plans, other ideas of what's going to happen. So the baseball fans here in Milwaukee might still be licking their wounds a bit after Ohtani and the Dodgers sent them packing last Friday night. But if you're a fan of the game in general, you get to look forward to what should be a really entertaining clincher, do-or-die game for both teams in Toronto tonight. Should be a good one that you can watch here on Fox. That's at least what I'm planning to do tonight. Got to get through the live desk first, of course. One of the other things that we're tracking, I'll just mention this as well as we bring you back to some of the news around the country, that would be the ongoing government shutdown. And so far, at least, there's been no end in sight for the shutdown that now has entered a 20th day today. So almost approaching 3 weeks of this government shutdown. The longest in U.S. history actually occurred during the first Trump administration, 35 days. And at least for now, it looks like there's no end in sight, as both Republicans and Democrats are entrenched on their respective sides of this debate and do not appear to have anything in terms of even negotiations planned or some kind of side that could budge. Instead, we just keep plugging along, and the White House is trying to use this opportunity to limit some of the federal workforce, hoping for expansive cuts, both to some programs and also to employment, while Democrats are hoping to extend some of the Obamacare Affordable Care Act subsidies that were supposed to expire after the COVID-19 pandemic, but continue to, at least for the Democrats, continue to believe is a winning strategy for them and something that public opinion would favor them for versus the government shutdown ending anytime soon. So a number of different headlines coming out of Washington, none of them great, I guess you could say, on day 20 now of the government shutdown. Let me get you a few of the back and forths that we have heard. For the most part, House Republicans are not even in Washington. House Speaker Mike Johnson has sent the majority of his caucus back home to their respective states because the House has passed a possible extension of the government, a temporary extension, I should say, while it's been the issues in the U.S. Senate and Republicans' inability to get the 60-vote threshold needed to overcome Democratic filibusters in the Senate that has led to the continuing of this shutdown. And the Senate has not produced its own legislation that the House would then have to vote on instead. So that continues to be an issue for Americans, but certainly for Congress, as you're seeing not much happening on the outside or the inside of that U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C. Now, here was a latest update from Hakeem Jeffries on the Democratic side describing their stance as the shutdown negotiations, or lack thereof, continue. Jeffries says, quote, "We want to enact a bipartisan spending agreement, but it actually has to make life better for the American people, not continue policies that are hurting everyday Americans." He said that during an interview at the New York Economic Club. Jeffries added that Republican claims the Democrats want to provide health care services to people in the U.S. illegally were, quote, divorced from reality, and that Republicans, quote, go-to refrain is waste, fraud, and abuse. Then you actually ask them to point out where's the waste, fraud, and abuse, and it's crickets. Now, he is reiterating that Democratic messaging on affordability, healthcare, and alleged corruption would be the main messages for the party heading into the 2026 midterm elections, as well as the national debt, with Jeffries saying that, quote, at minimum, divided government was needed to reach a sustainable spending plan for the country. So that was some of the comments from the House Minority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries, on the Democratic side, speaking today at the New York Economic Club. So we get a little bit of the Democratic side, while on the Republican side, they are continuing to say, look, reopen the government and we can have those discussions about health care, about some of the other things the Democrats are pushing for, but that they will not agree to anything until the government is reopened. But while the Democrats think this is kind of their moment to push for something and have a little bit of political power to weigh one way or the other. So on we go, day 20 with no end in sight of the government shutdown in Washington and around the rest of the country as well. All right, it is 1:04 here on this Monday afternoon. The Wisconsin Live Desk continues to roll. Let's take a quick break for you, a couple minutes, and we'll be back with some of the other news, both locally and around the country on this Monday. Thanks a lot for watching Wild, whether it's here on Fox Local or on our Milwaukee YouTube channel.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back. It is 1:07, counting down to 1:30 when Haley Spiller will take over for me in the Wisconsin Live Desk, trying to give you a sense of what's happening all around the Milwaukee area today and the rest of the country as well. Nice shot of downtown Milwaukee there with City Hall and the flag on top blowing in the breeze, though not necessarily as windy as we had over the weekend. Certainly not when that cold front came storming through with thunderstorms and lots of rain as well. Here's the fun thing. We can kind of do a bit of a travel log, taking you around the country as we show you Milwaukee to the Big Apple. How about this beautiful shot of New York City and specifically the borough of Manhattan on this Monday afternoon with the Empire State Building standing prominently there in the middle of your screen. The Chrysler Building, that's always a personal favorite of mine, off to the right. The last really tall building you see there, kind of looking like a pencil. And yeah, plenty of sunshine with also some clouds for the New Yorkers out there on the East Coast today. So nice to see all the different cameras that we can use and take you to here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Yes, it's Wisconsin, but we also have an appreciation for other parts of the country as well. All right, let's get you back to our wonderful city of Milwaukee, though, and tell you a little bit about what's going to happen in just a matter of days at that building on the far left. That little sliver we can see of Fiserv Forum will be the home site of the Bucks season opener coming up this week. If you're not aware, this is tip-off week for the Milwaukee Bucks. Wednesday, the home opener, and we'll get you some details on that momentarily. But first, the action starts today for the Bucks, and at least for their fans and the front office, as they are very excited for the start of the new season, and they're doing this whole tip-off week event. So they had the open practice yesterday at Fiserv Forum, your chance to see Giannis and the crew work through some of their drills and sets, and then a scrimmage as well that wrapped things up at Fiserv Forum. For many fans, besides the preseason, their first chance to see this newly generated Bucks roster and get a sense of what might come for the team this year. Today, as we keep tip-off week rolling here, it is NBA Jersey Day, so they're asking folks to wear your Bucks jersey loud and proud out and about around town today. And if you go to the Bucks Pro Shop at Fiserv Forum, there are some special offers if you buy a jersey at the Pro Shop. So maybe you want a new Miles Turner jersey, represent the newest acquisition, the big free agent signing for the Bucks from the offseason. You can get that, or just a classic like a Giannis 34. You can get some special offers, including tickets to the season opener through that. So that is, of course, leading up today. Tip-off week continues, leading up to Wednesday, which will be the season opener for your Milwaukee Bucks, and it's quite a notable one, let's just say that, with none other than Chris Middleton and the Washington Wizards coming to town. You have to expect there'll be a really nice welcome home for Middleton, despite the fact that he wears another jersey and wants another team to win now on that Fiserv Forum court. But should be an interesting game to see what this mix of players will look like for the Milwaukee Bucks. They have definitely shifted gears from what was the focus the last few years, a new focus this year, still under Doc Rivers, still with one of the best players on the planet in Giannis Antetokounmpo leading the way. But it will perhaps be a faster, more up-paced team that we'll watch. Giannis playing a little bit more point forward, perhaps, handling the ball and kind of leading the offense, especially when you think about the fact you do not have a Damian Lillard, an all-star point guard, as his running mate anymore. The second best player on the team would be Turner, who's a fellow big man. So Giannis and Turner will make a rather impressive front court duo for teams to go against when it comes to Turner at the center position, Giannis at the 4. The shot blocking both of those players provide. The defense should be really intimidating around the rim, at least for Milwaukee. But the question what they might be doing at the guard spot, at least answered on the offensive side by Giannis handling the ball more. And hey, if he is in fact one of the best in the world, let's highlight that. It's hard to ask more of Giannis after he pulled off a near MVP winning season last year, one of his best seasons to date, even if the team as a whole did not make it as far as they were hoping. But maybe even more coming from Giannis when it comes to the assist numbers and some of the scoring that he will be relied on to provide. We shall see. Wednesday, the 22nd, 7 p.m. tip-off for the Bucks in their home opener against the Washington Wizards. After that, a day off before they face the Toronto Raptors in Canada. That's a Friday game, 6:30 Central Time tip-off for Bucks Raptors, their first road trip. as they will go from Toronto, then over to Cleveland. A notable game Sunday evening, just 6 days from now, 5 p.m. Sunday, Bucks-Cavs. The Cavaliers were sensational last year in the regular season. I believe it was #1 seed in the East, and really rolled until the playoffs. Got bounced, a disappointing run for them. Bucks can kind of relate to that, unfortunately. So we'll see. It's an interesting early test for Milwaukee, as here are the first 5 games for the Bucks. So you start against the Wizards, you go and face the Raptors, then it's on the road still at the Cleveland Cavaliers, home to face the New York Knicks, another possible contender in the Eastern Conference, and then home October 30th, the day before Halloween, to face the Golden State Warriors with Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, the Marquette alum, coming back to town with a new team for Butler. That should be an interesting mix for Milwaukee right off the bat as we try to get a sense for what some of the new players will bring, what some of the people who played integral roles last year will continue to provide, whether that's a Kevin Porter Jr., Gary Trent, and others. Bobby Portis certainly hoping for a much smoother year than he had a season ago, as he's basically going to be the third best player potentially on this team. But again, that's a front court player with Giannis and Miles Turner. So Bucks expected to be formidable in the front court. Lots of questions at the guard positions, and we'll see how that shakes out. Kyle Kuzma, of course, was the acquisition in that Chris Middleton trade with Washington last year. Can he be a little more consistent and stronger over the course of a full season for Milwaukee versus just the midseason acquisition that he tried to work his way in with last year? Ended, as unfortunately it has the last few years for Milwaukee, with a first-round exit, but there's lots of opportunity in the Eastern Conference this year. Playoff injuries to Tyrese Halliburton in Indiana, and then the subsequent acquisition of Miles Turner, one of the other best players on the Pacers roster during that run to the NBA Finals, making it all the way to Game 7 now in Milwaukee. So Indiana is a significantly lessened team. The Boston Celtics lost Jason Tatum to I think it was an ACL injury. Let me double check that. So another question mark for what was the standard in the Eastern Conference in the Boston Celtics last year, up in the air and quite a question. So we shall see when it comes to Jason Tatum was also, I should have remembered this, exactly the same as Damian Lillard, an Achilles injury that he suffered in the playoffs last year. So Boston weakened. Indiana, certainly a lesser team this year. Cleveland still was great in the regular season and brought much of that team back, but there's a question of what they can do in the postseason, how much of a serious contender they are, and who knows if the Bucks are able to get some significant improvements from their role players, from some of those secondary players in the starting rotation even, to match what Giannis provides, what Miles Turner is expected to begin. Maybe there's a window there where the Bucks can be back in contention as one of the best teams in at least the Eastern Conference, if not looking ahead to a title contender as well. We shall see. Plenty of questions, probably more questions than answers at this point of the season. But hey, you know this, you got Giannis, you got a chance, and Milwaukee still has Giannis playing and sporting that number 34. All right, we are going to take another break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, checking a few things for you that we hope to bring you live here on Fox Local and the Fox 6 Milwaukee YouTube channel, but we do have to pay some bills, so a 2-minute break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, and we'll be back after this.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey, welcome back. Carl Deffenbaugh with you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. It is 1:18, handling first hour duties for you here on this Monday afternoon with Haley Spittler and Ben Handelman to follow. We keep you going for the most part all the way through the morning. Wake up into Real Milwaukee, into FOX6 News at 11, and then of course the Wisconsin Live Desk follows the Wisconsin weather experts leading up to 3:30. Quick break, and then we're back with our newscasts at 4 o'clock. So if the news happens, we are here for you, streaming on Fox Local throughout the day, every day, at least Monday through Friday. Got all that. All right. Let's get some other information on what's happening both around the state of Wisconsin and around the country today. Sorry, I'm keeping an eye on a couple things. The U.S. Senate is supposed to convene at around 2 o'clock today, and we'll try to get you a live look at the Senate floor when that happens. That just popped up, although the government shutdown entering day 20 today, not expected to end anytime soon. We'll try to get you some of the messaging, though, from both sides, as U.S. senators are in Washington still and have held a series of votes, while much of the House delegation, at least on the Republican side, was sent home by Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, saying that they would not be taking up any new legislation until Democrats open up the federal government again. Again, that's the Republican messaging. Democrats saying that the Republicans should accept and extend health care subsidies through the Affordable Care Act for any chance at negotiating and reopening the government. So while that work continues, I do want to tell you a couple of the things that have happened from the White House today. We've gotten, as I mentioned, that new agreement between the United States and Australia when it comes to rare earth minerals. $8.5 billion in a deal reached between President Donald Trump and Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese in his visit to the White House today. That agreement expected to kind of counter China's dominance in those export mineral realm there and what those are needed for in terms of the new burgeoning technology out there. Those critical resources become even more critical. So that was the agreement out of the White House today. Of course, when President Donald Trump does media availability, as he had today, he's asked a series of questions. So let's get you some of the other highlights of what the president talked about today. That includes warning Hamas that this fragile Israel-Hamas ceasefire could potentially end. Trump said the U.S. will give the situation a little chance in hopes that there will be less violence. Israeli forces on Sunday did kill dozens of people, Palestinians, in strikes along the Gaza Strip. That was after Israel accused Hamas militants of killing 2 Israeli soldiers. So it gives you a sense. There may have been a signed agreement. The president was actually in Israel just a week ago to the day to give a speech to a raucous crowd in Israel and then go over to Egypt for the official signing of this peace agreement. Supposed to be a major success and a major foreign policy win for the president in his second term here, but examples yesterday and today of just how fragile that truce, that ceasefire could be for now. After Israeli officials say Hamas militants killed 2 soldiers, Israel followed with strikes across Gaza, killing dozens of Palestinians in response, saying they were targeting Hamas militants, while others say that civilians were killed. Now, the president, when he was asked about Hamas specifically, said the group must behave or face consequences. Here's the quote from the president: "They have to be good, and if they're not good, they'll be eradicated," end quote. He also warned that if they keep doing it, then we're going to go in and straighten it out, and it'll happen very quickly and pretty violently. Now, the president said he was not talking, if you're wondering about the words there, about sending U.S. soldiers, members of the U.S. military, to Gaza or to Israel, but some of the other countries that backed the ceasefire agreement instead. Now, some of the other things that we learned from that, let me pull up a couple other things because there was a notable part of this. The president was in the Middle East last week. Members of his administration visited Israel in the wake of that violence. The special envoy, Steve Witkoff, part of a trip with Trump's own son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who were in Israel as of today trying to shore up this dicey ceasefire agreement in Gaza a day after that faced its really first flare-up. That would be the strikes from Israel after what they say was the death of 2 Israeli soldiers at the hands of Hamas militants in Gaza. So 2 members of the president's inner circle there, Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, in Israel today, trying to make sure that this major accomplishment for the administration, tentative peace deal and ceasefire between Hamas and Israel actually holds. Much closer to home, farther south from us here in Milwaukee, in Chicago, federal officials are in court taking questions about the Trump administration's immigration crackdown in the Chicago area and Illinois as a whole. So far, more than 1,000 people have been arrested, but there have also been complaints that federal agents are increasingly using combative tactics as part of this mission. The hearing today comes just a few days after a judge ordered uniformed immigration agents to wear body cameras, if available, and turn them on when they're engaging in arrests, frisks, and building searches, or when they're being deployed to protests as well. Now, so far, the deputy incident commander with U.S. Customs and Border Protection, Kyle Harvick, said that each Border Patrol agent who's been a part of this now has a body-worn camera. So the question, will we get some of that footage coming from Chicago? Potentially. U.S. District Judge Sarah Ellis just last week said she was a little startled. That was the quote, a little startled, after seeing TV images of street confrontations involving tear gas and other tactics during these immigration sweeps in Chicago. Harvick, again the deputy incident commander with CBP, the Customs and Border Protection Agency, said, quote, "The longer we loiter on a scene and subjects come, the situation gets more and more dangerous." So remains to be seen whether that judge's ruling about body cameras, what will come of that, additional footage, trying to get a sense for what is happening on the streets of Chicago, where more than 1,000 arrests have happened as part of an immigration crackdown that was not requested when it comes to federal support from Governor J.B. Pritzker of Illinois or Chicago's Mayor Brandon Johnson either. Another interesting note as we give you another live look at the U.S. Capitol building there in Washington. Of course, the government shutdown entering day 20. We spoke a little bit earlier about the back and forth between Republicans and Democrats right now. Kamala Harris weighing in, the former vice president and former presidential candidate who lost to President Donald Trump in the 2024 election, saying Democrats are right to take a stand for saving health care, and particularly as they see how the budget law passed by Republicans could increase their premiums next year. Harris is on a book tour and told the Associated Press in an interview during that tour, quote, "November 1st, people are going to really start feeling it in a very painful way." And she went on to say, quote, "When you talk about who's responsible for this predicament, understand that the Republicans control the House, they control the Senate, they control the White House, they are in charge, and they are responsible for the shutdown." Republicans have said they are happy to talk to Democrats and potentially negotiate extensions of those Affordable Care Act subsidies, but it is not something that they will do until the government reopens. So Republicans saying the ball is in the Democrats' court, while Democrats are saying Republicans are the ones in charge. They're the ones that can make something happen if need be to get the government open. Instead, here we are, day 20, and no real end in sight. All right, we are approaching the, let's just say, final moments of my appearance on the live desk right now. We have a couple different things we are watching. Excuse me, I'm just going to mute my mic for a cough 1 second. That is the joy of doing this live, right? You never know. You get something in your throat, got to clear it out. And we're back, giving you a live look at the White House. We can also take you around back closer to Milwaukee as we get you a nice shot from the City Center camera there and our beautiful Common Council building, Milwaukee City Hall. The mayor's office is inside. How about a nice shot from our Estabrook Park Tower camera as well, looking south on what has turned out to be an absolutely gorgeous day here in Wisconsin. barely any clouds in the sky at this part of your Monday afternoon. Will that last? We shall see. All right, I am just about done here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Haley Spittler up next with the second hour of Wild, and then Ben Handelman will follow. You know what? Just to handle this, let's try to do a quick, I was going to say a quick break, but let's leave this up for you. Haley is standing by right outside our little studios here. I will leave this beautiful shot from Esterbrook Park up for you, and we will be back with Haley on the other side of a couple minutes. Just have to get logged out, logged in, and ready to go, and the Wisconsin Live Desk will keep rolling for you here on this Monday afternoon. Thanks a lot for watching. We will see you in just a bit.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. I know we've been taking a nice look outside here in Milwaukee this Monday afternoon. Time check for you, 1:32, and it is Haley taking over for Carl this second hour of the Wisconsin Live Desk, which, just as a fun fact, if you were ever wondering how tall Carl is, I am not only standing on a platform, but I am wearing platform boots, and I am still probably just about the height that Carl was, which is crazy to think about. I for sure thought I was going to be too tall today to stand on my platform while also having my shoes on, but nope, still have plenty of headroom. That's how tall Carl Deffenbaugh is. Well, hey, we are very excited to get to talk a pretty cool musical that's happening right now in Milwaukee, but first, we got to talk to our producer, Delaney. Delaney, how was your weekend?
It was a lot of fun. I went to a wedding. How was yours?
Okay, well, first of all, what was the outfit we wore to the wedding? Because we talked on Wisconsin Live Desk, and I know you had a few options.
I ended up wearing a jumpsuit.
A jumpsuit.
Yeah.
Very fun. My weekend was good. I had a very relaxing Friday. My Sunday was a little traumatic because of fantasy football. We could talk about that later. I did not win. Spoiler alert this week. But Saturday, my friend Brittany came up from Chicago. We went and saw the Jonas Brothers together the weekend before. But she came up to see Fiddler on the Roof with me at Skylight.
That sounds so fun.
Yes, and it was a very impressive production, so much so that I thought we should talk about it here on Wisconsin Live Desk. What do you think?
Let's do it.
Yeah, we're going to actually go ahead and bring in the artistic director of Skylight Music Theater, Michael Unger. Michael, thanks so much for joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, okay, so for starters, I got to see Fiddler on the Roof Saturday night. I was blown away by the production value. But for our viewers who have maybe never seen Fiddler on the Roof, can you tell us a little bit about what the musical is?
Sure, it's one of the most famous and renowned musicals ever written. It opened in 1964 on Broadway, and apparently there's never been a day that goes by since the day it opened in '64 that there has not been a production of Fiddler done somewhere in the world. So it's ubiquitous, it is universal, and it is about a group of people in a certain place in a certain time who are struggling with family and tradition, and actually more than tradition, about change, and how the ever-changing world requires adjustments on the part of those who have built the traditions that brought up the families, and it's about that struggle of tradition and change. And it's a really beautiful musical with some of the greatest music ever written. I would say it's one of the perfect musicals, of which there aren't very many. Perfect score, perfect book. It's just a beautiful show.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of those shows where people think that they haven't seen it or they don't know Fiddler on the Roof, and then they hear the songs. They're like, oh, this one's from Fiddler? This one's from Fiddler? What are some of your favorite songs from the show?
Oh gosh, so many. And it's also an incredibly famous movie musical, one of the best movie musicals that was released in 1971. Havala is a very moving song to me, which is a very short part of the show, but it's about a father and a daughter, and I have two kids. I have boy-girl twins, and whenever I hear that melody, it makes me cry because it's so beautiful, and I think of my daughter Phoebe and my son Nathaniel, but you know, it's a father-daughter kind of thing. I love the song Do You Love Me because it's just a wonderful look at a relationship that's 25 years in, and they may not ever have asked that question before in the culture of the time. It's set in 1905 in the Ukraine, or what was then Russia, but the Pale of Settlement in what is now Ukraine. And this couple didn't meet each other until their wedding day. That's sort of how it worked back then in that time and those people. And so this may be the first time that this couple who've been married for 25 years have asked each other if they love each other. Of course they do, but they never thought of it that way. So it's an incredible song about long-term relationships and deep, deep love and affection, but from people who spend their lives struggling a little more with the day-to-day than to really think about the emotional relationship that they have. So it's a fabulous song. But Tradition's great, To Life is great. There are so many great songs. I just can't even count them all.
I know, they truly are. There are so many good songs in this show. There's also a couple collaborations going on with your production of Fiddler. I want to start with one that I think is so powerful, which is Violins of Hope. I know you guys feature not one, but two violins that actually survived the Holocaust in your production of Fiddler on the Roof. How did this come to be?
Well, generally, we, pick a season of shows as a group here at the theater. I'd sort of think of some shows that I'd like to put together for a varied season, and I present them to my partner in art, Susan Varela. I'm the executive director, and we, talk them over. We present them to a committee, and we just decide on what shows to do. But in this case, the show picked us. So Linda Edelstein from Milwaukee Youth Symphony Orchestra, MISO, who are sponsoring this amazing residency of Violins of Hope, where over 60 arts organizations across the state are programming around these instruments. Anyway, so Linda called Susan and said, can you think of any musical that might work in programming around Violins of Hope? And Susan, of course, thought of Fiddler, and there was no question that we would not do Fiddler after that opportunity, that amazing opportunity was presented to us. And Violins of Hope is over 100 stringed instruments that have been rescued from the Holocaust, played by Jewish prisoners in the concentration camps, lovingly restored by 3 generations of luthiers, violin craftsmen in Israel, Amnon and Avshalom Weinstein. And Amnon is no longer living, but Avshalom came and presented us with the violins. We have 2 on stage. One is being played by Pamela Simmons in the orchestra. The other is played by the onstage fiddler. And then we also have 2 additional instruments that are on display in the lobby. So just to be in the same building as that much history and those instruments being witness to where they came from, and to be speaking and praying for those who are no longer able to, is an honor that I don't know that we can ever repay. So it's a very moving experience to have them in the building, to be using them. And Avshalom said that to his knowledge, this is the first time that the Violins of Hope have ever been used in a Fiddler on the Roof production.
Oh, how cool. I don't want to do too much of a spoiler alert, but we definitely have a whole story coming up this week here on Fox 6 about Violins of Hope and Fiddler on the Roof, so you're going to want to tune in Wednesday night.
Great. I'm tuning in.
Yes, such a good story. But okay, so the second collaboration, Marquette. Tell us more about this one.
So we have a wonderful partnership with Marquette University. Their head of the theater program, Jamie Cheatham, has been a fight choreographer for many of our shows. And I asked him last year, what do you think of maybe doing a show together? And so it worked out beautifully. And half of our cast of 31 people are actually Marquette students who are getting a professional experience on our stage before they even graduate college. And they are wonderful. First of all, they're age appropriate. You should cast Fiddler with people of that age group playing that age group, which I love to do. And we've done that here. We also have a partnership with University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee on our final show of the season, A Rockin' Midsummer Night's Dream. But these Marquette kids have been so fantastic. They spent 3 weeks even before rehearsal started in a dance workshop, and they are just delightful and talented and learning so much from the professionals on stage. And it's been a phenomenal first time experience in this way, and we hope to keep it going.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we've been taking a look at some video of your production of Fiddler on the Roof, and I just saw one of my favorite scenes, which I need to know how you brought this together. The dream sequence. I was nearly in stitches. This was done so well and so unexpected.
Well, thank you. I'm not sure if you mentioned to your listeners that I also directed the show. And you really want to make the dream sequence your own. You want to have your own stamp on the dream sequence. It's done so many different ways with big puppets and costumes and like oversized figures that maybe represent Chagall paintings. And I wanted to find something that would make it our own, and although something that would be very simple to achieve. So the tricks in the dream sequence are quite simple, actually, but there's some really good surprises, which I will not give away. You have to come and get tickets, although there aren't many left, to see the show, to see what the dream sequence really is. But we have some really great surprises and some phenomenal voices, and it's really funny, and the audiences are just loving it. So I'm very excited that it worked, because sometimes you come up with ideas as a director, like, I think this might work, but will it really? And opening night, when those 2 big surprises happened, the audience went crazy. I was like, oh, phew, that did work.
Yes. Oh, it absolutely worked. It's so true. It's not just one surprise. It's like you're wowed, and then it keeps happening, and it keeps happening. So well done. I love theater, and I always love some of the creative choices that really help tell the story, not always with words. And I feel like your set design does that as well. Can you speak to that?
I sure can. So we had a wonderful set designer, Jonathan Berg Einhorn, who's actually from Chicago. And we wanted the entire set to look like luggage, trunks, suitcases, things that you have to pick up and leave when you get displaced, as the end of this play is about that displacement. So whether the audience senses when they walk in that this is a spoiler alert now, when they walk in that that's a wall of luggage and can all be sort of used to move on to the next place, by the end of the play they certainly know that that is the case. And it's about sort of the peripatetic, sort of temporary life that sometimes we lead, and how tenuous our place and time can be. And I think John captured it beautifully in the design, and the way I've staged it, I hope embraces that idea and helps tell the story underneath the story. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so it's sad, but it is the final weekend coming up of Fiddler on the Roof. I know you said tickets are limited. How do we snag some?
You call our box office at 414-291-7800 or visit skylightmusictheater.org. That's THATRE.org. Or come to the box office. We do have tickets left, but not many. It's been a huge hit for us. The reviews are great. The audiences have been going crazy for it, and it's very exciting to have a show this meaningful with these incredible partnerships, and especially Violins of Hope resonating so deeply with this community. So I feel very honored to be in the chair I'm in, doing what I'm doing with this group of people and these wonderful resources and wonderful partnerships. So thank you for helping me spread the word.
Yes, oh, absolutely. I'm hoping that all of our viewers are going to be able to go and snag their tickets today. If for whatever reason they are sold out by the time they try and go see it, what's coming up next at Skylight that we should probably also work on getting tickets to?
You should all get tickets to Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, which is our next production, which is a delightful, fun musical that is just sheer joy. It's very colorful. We have a lot of kids in that show as well, another huge cast. I think we have 33 in that cast or something. It's just a blast. And then we follow that with Amadeus with a live chamber orchestra, and follow that with the 25th anniversary production of Spitfire Grill. And we close out with a world premiere musical of A Rockin' Midsummer Night's Dream, which is a version I created at a theater I started in Newtown, Connecticut following the Sandy Hook tragedy. That is a really fun rock and roll original score, rock and roll musical of Shakespeare's perhaps most famous and funnest play.
All right,
So
so there's a
check
lot
'em all
coming
out.
up. There's a lot coming up at Skylight that we need to be
Yep.
on the know of, and we appreciate you so much for joining us here on the Wisconsin Live Desk and giving us the inside scoop on Fiddler.
Well, thank you for helping us spread the word. That's so important, and we really appreciate that.
Of course, that was Michael. It's such a pleasure getting to talk with him today. And as a reminder, we do have my story about Violins of Hope, specifically how they're being used in this production of Fiddler on the Roof at Skylight Music Theater, premiering this Wednesday on Fox 6 at 9 p.m., which means you can find it on Fox Local after that. So it's a really just beautiful story about these instruments and how they continue to keep the stories alive of those that we lost in the Holocaust. So I can't wait to get to share that one with you. I actually got to speak with Avshi, who is one of the founders of Violins of Hope, while he was here in Milwaukee a few weeks ago. So very excited for that story to air in just a little bit. All right, so for now, we're going to take just a quick break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. And then we've got some more local news for you coming up, the latest on a couple different stories our reporters are working on today. So you're going to want to stick with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk this Monday afternoon, where we are really just kind of cruising along this second hour of the Wisconsin Live Desk. Time check for you. It is 1:47, which means we've got about 45 more minutes together before Ben Handelman takes over for the third and final hour of the Wisconsin Live Desk this Monday afternoon. We just got to hear all about Fiddler on the Roof, a production happening here in Milwaukee. And now we have kind of an update on another story out of Milwaukee County that has to do with McGovern Park Senior Center. It is the story of our very own Christina Van Zelst today, where, Christina, it kind of sounds like this senior center is in limbo. What's the latest we need to know about?
Yeah, Haley, I wish I had better news for people watching. We're still trying to get answers here in this senior center open ourselves. So to take you back to why this is a story in this neighborhood and just across Milwaukee County, this in August due to flooding, and in September, services facility here remediation work from that flood and found that there was still a high force count and also the air quality in this building. Over 2 months that this what it looks like, the parking lot is completely empty. It's quiet here. And the reason this is a big deal is this community call home. This is a place they come to meet with their friends. They do and without a place to go. The senior center down on Milwaukee's. That's still about a 13-minute drive from here. And the women typically instead that they haven't seen in over 2 months now. They're worried about that. They're also worried ahead of the winter months what they're going to do, because they're not going. They told me they're not going to be driving in the 0-degree weather. So in that case, you're going to have people who are just sitting at home. Social interaction, which is a concern. And just like them, I've been trying to get answers on when they open. I reached out to the services department and also that aging and disability services committee to see if they have a timeline on when this might open, and I have not gotten a response yet. So still trying to see if we can get some answers for these people who really are missing their community space here and are inconvenienced going to the other 4 places across the county. It's just not easy to get to, and they say it's just not the same. They don't have their groups of people up between what's convenient, and they say overall it is taking a toll on some people's health. So we are staying on this story today, hoping to get some sort of update, but you'll hear from those 2 women who have a lot to say about this issue and their push to figure out, at least to have some sense into a timeline on when.
Yeah, absolutely, Christina. We are having a little bit of an audio issue, so I'm going to let you go. We kind of heard most of what you were saying, and we will certainly stick with you later today on Fox Local for we hear the latest on this story. That's our very own Christina Van Zelst. Again, she's at McGovern Park Senior Center, which remember back in August when we had some of that historic flooding. This was one of those centers that dealt with a lot of damage. It has not been able to reopen, and now there's questions if it ever will. So as she was saying, she's been able to talk to some of the seniors who used to go there on a daily basis, and she's going to be telling kind of their story, as well as just getting answers on what the future for this McGovern Park Senior Center is. So I know her audio is kind of in and out there, but please make sure and just stick with us here on Fox Local later today for her full story, where she's working to get us some answers there for sure. All right, I'm trying to see what we have going on the feeds today. I know Carl tried to take you around some of our national ones because it's been a little bit quiet. I can tell you we know the Senate's going to be back in session here just about 9 minutes. You can see it's going to convene at 3 p.m. Eastern. Obviously, that would be 2 p.m. Central Time Zone, where a big question about will the Senate agree to pass that kind of short-term gap funding bill this week, as we are now on day 20 of the government shutdown. Certainly a government shutdown that a lot of people would like to see end, especially all those federal employees who are working without pay right now, or those who have been furloughed. So right now we haven't seen kind of either side budge. Pretty much everyone's sticking to their guns. Democrats really wanting to see the Obamacare continue, seeing some health care funding pass. Republicans wanting it to be a clean funding bill. only addressing the government kind of shutdown and what needs to be done there. So we'll have to keep our eye on DC and see if anything happens this week. But yeah, tomorrow we'll reach day 21, that official 3 full weeks of the government being shut down. It went into effect at midnight on October 1st. And of course, we'll continue to follow any of the latest. We'll see if the Senate floor, when it convenes here at 2 p.m., if there's anything to bring you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Of course, we like to keep you in the know, and we kind of find news together as we explore the different feeds and what pops up. For now, we are going to just take another quick break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, and when we get back, I think we'll talk football, and I think we might just do question of the day. Lots to look forward to. We'll be right back in 2 minutes.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hey, welcome back into the Wisconsin Live Desk. It's Haley Spittler. I'm with you for about the next 35 minutes. Then Ben, I just made a new coworker. Ben Handelman will take over for the last hour here of Wild. I'm trying to think. We've done a lot already in my first half hour. We've learned all about Fiddler on the Roof. We have learned a little bit about the senior center that is kind of not known what's going to happen. It's up in the air, the future plans, after it was flooded back in August when we saw that historic flooding hit different areas of Milwaukee pretty hard. And now I think it's time we talk just a little bit of sports. We're going to take a live look out at Lambeau this Monday afternoon. We're in Green Bay. Look at that. They got some clear blue skies with, well, I guess they're not clear because there's clouds in it, but what a beautiful view there of Lambeau. The Packers, they are riding high this Monday afternoon. They beat the Cardinals. It was their first official road win this season. Of course, they lost to the Browns. They tied when they were in Dallas, but in Arizona, they walked away with the victory. I think I saw, too, that Micah Parsons got 3 sacks. It was his first time in his career. So if you have the Green Bay Packers as your defense in fantasy, that's probably a lot of points for you, and I'm extremely happy for you. I got to say, me personally, it was a rough week for fantasy. I told you guys on Friday I was a little concerned. My friend that I was playing against this week had Jamar Chase, so she got 38.1 points just in Thursday night football. Unfortunately, if you remember, the quarterback that I drafted, Joe Burrow, is out for 3 months, so I'm on my bench quarterback, Caleb Williams of the Bears, who just did not get me any points. I have 4.68 points from him, so I was pretty much pummeled. She had 134.22 points this week. I only got 109.58, so I did lose, making me 4-3 on the season. I'm a little bit concerned what that's going to mean for the potential Wisconsin Live Desk pizza party. Delaney, will you still love me even if I lose my fantasy football league?
Yes.
I'm concerned.
I'm like upset that your fantasy team didn't do that well this weekend, but there's still plenty of time, right?
Yeah, here's the issue is that I've just been plagued with injuries, okay? Like,
You have been.
I don't know how people play this every year because it's like I love fantasy, but I hate fantasy, Delaney, because playing fantasy football has made me care so much more. Like, I look forward to Sundays because you're so optimistic, but then I also have experienced what it's like when my running back Joe Mixon, who I drafted 2nd overall, has yet to play a single game because he's hurt. And then Joe Burrow on week 2 gets injured for 3 months. And then what happens a couple weeks ago? My wide receiver, Tyreek Hill, out for the rest of the season.
I know, you haven't had very good luck.
No. Like, I almost feel like bad for the players that I'm drafting. I feel like I'm affecting them. Because Tyreek Hill's ACL tear, disgusting to look at.
That was.
Yeah, so I don't know. I was disappointed because I'm in this all-female league, which I love because it feels like a safe space to learn fantasy, which can seem daunting. But I only knew really one person who's in it, my bestie Taylor, and that's who I played this week. And this is how my team performed. She's going to think I'm bad at fantasy.
It's okay.
Thank you.
You still have time to recover.
Delaney, I really appreciate you reminding me of this.
Thank you.
I really needed that. I also feel like I'm optimistic for them next week. They're playing the Steelers, which should be interesting because do you know who the Steelers quarterback is?
I do not.
Who's like I shouldn't say the most famous. Who's a very famous former Packers quarterback?
I can only think of Aaron Rodgers.
Ding, 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 ding. That's it. I was going to say, I shouldn't say the most famous because I'm sure there's some Brett Favre fans out there who might be offended. But Aaron Rodgers is the Steelers quarterback. So
Oh, he is.
should be pretty interesting to see.
That'll be an interesting game.
Yeah, that's Sunday night football, so you have to wait until 7:20 on Sunday.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, which I will not be watching any Sunday football games in real time this week because do you remember what I'm doing on Sunday?
Is Sunday your marathon?
Marathon!
Half marathon.
Girl, you better half that distance right now.
Half marathon.
Just as a side note, whenever you start running half marathons, that's like people will call it a marathon, or they ask you like, oh, are you going to do a marathon ever? You guys, I can barely get through 13.1. There is no way in the near future is the grammatical way of saying that, Delaney. I could do 26.2. That's too much.
No, I'm so impressed with people who run marathons. Even a half marathon, huge accomplishment.
Thank you.
I could never do it.
Thank you. You probably could, because I always thought I couldn't do it, but you work your way up. You know, do a 5K into a 10K into a 10-miler, then you can do the half.
Yeah.
But see all those baby steps? How am I supposed to do?
A lot of baby steps.
Like, but you go like 3.1 to 6.2 to 10 to 13.1.
What
and
comes
then
in between?
26.2?
Yeah.
That's
What
why
comes
it's
in between
impossible.
there?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think there is a distance.
No.
So, because even a 15K would be 9.3. So I don't know what the distance in between half and full are. But I also don't know if like my toenails would survive. Because runners at that point, that's when you start losing your toenails.
I have heard that.
I can't do that, Delaney.
No.
I'm not built for that.
No, I would not be prepared.
I cannot do that. Are we ready for question of the day?
Let's do question of the day.
Okay, so today is National Suspenders Day. Delaney and I looked for something better, you guys. I'm going to be honest. There wasn't one out there. So we're talking National Suspenders Day instead. But instead of just asking you, like, do you own a pair of suspenders? Obviously, suspenders help hold up your pants. So I was going to ask you, like, what helps you, like, hold you up in life? What keeps you together?
My friends, for sure. What about you? You definitely help keep me together.
Delaney! Oh my God,
Especially
that's
on
so
Live
nice.
Desk.
I was going to say, actually, you keep me together on the Wisconsin Live Desk. She's always monitoring feeds and looking for things for us to go to. I would say things that like hold me up, hold me together. My friends, my family. The summer I turned pretty. Joe Jonas, Joe Burrow. Yeah.
Some good options.
Right?
Yeah.
Although Joe Burrow's down right now because turf toe. But
Yeah.
I'll hold him up until he can hold himself back together and get on the field because Caleb Williams needs to go back on the bench for me. It's not going well, Delaney.
No.
Okay, do we have true or false questions?
We do have a true or false.
Oh my gosh, let's see if I can pull it up. I do feel like there's that Amazon internet outage, Delaney, and it's affecting us a little bit here.
It's been impacting us a little bit.
I'm not trying to be funny. I think that's why we couldn't have Christina's audio, because I heard that TVUs are affected by this. So,
Are they really?
yeah, that's
Interesting.
So yeah, fun fact, news stations are not immune to these really fun world stories that happen. But good news, Delaney, I got us our true or false question. Okay, true or false, suspenders were originally attached with sewn-in buttons. Wait, what does that mean? So the buttons were sewn in and then you just put the suspenders to the button?
Yep,
This is definitely true.
this is true. Metal clips weren't invented until 1894, and then you could do the metal clips. But before then, you had to use buttons to attach your suspenders.
I love this. I am almost positive that my grandfather had a couple of these because I knew this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like I'm pretty sure that like he had these types of suspenders because also as a side note, in high school, Delaney, one day we did like a world summit, like we were assigned different countries, and if you dressed up the part, you got extra credit, and so I obviously dressed
I would have
up.
dressed up the part for sure.
But I was like a male representative from some country, so I asked my grandpa for some suspenders and pants, and it was a button, so he still had them.
Interesting.
Which, it sounds like they were really old, though. So
Yeah.
maybe it was like there was a new option, but some people stuck to like
Still kept the sew-in.
the original method.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think I think suspenders and a bow tie are always just like a put-together look.
They are.
You know, like when you see someone wearing that, you're like, you are put together.
Definitely.
Even if it's chaotic behind the scenes. Which is what we always hope you guys feel when you're watching Wisconsin Live Desk. We hope it looks all put together on air, but sometimes behind the scenes,
It can be a little chaotic.
it can be a little chaotic, but it's all good. All right, cool. Good question of the day, Delaney. I am proud of myself. That was the first time I knew the answer.
I know, it's been a while, but I'm impressed.
I got 1 for 2 for pasta today.
That's true.
Yeah, but I haven't been 100%. But to be fair, it's easier to be 100% when it's one question. So,
That's true.
all right, cool. Should we look up what we should do tomorrow?
Yeah, let's see the National Day tomorrow.
National Day calendar. Let's do a little live tease here on the Wisconsin Live Desk because you never know what you're going to tune in and get. I do have sad news, Delaney. We're not going to do question of the day on Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember what I'm doing?
Aren't you headed to the Bucks?
I am. That's right. I won't be on the Wisconsin Live Desk on Wednesday because I will be covering a FISERV forum.
That'll be a lot of fun, though.
I know. I'm excited.
I'm jealous.
I feel like I should start practicing my dribbling.
Oh, definitely.
Ooh, tomorrow's Back to the Future Day. Have you ever watched Back to the Future?
A long time ago, but I have seen it.
That's a good movie. It's also an excellent musical. I went and saw that one on Broadway.
Ooh, that sounds like a fun one.
Yeah, it's touring the country. Maybe Milwaukee will get it at some point.
Oh, that would be fun.
Okay, it's also National Apple Day. That's a good one. Apple a day keeps the doctor away. I think we're going to have to choose between those two.
Yeah, it's some good options tomorrow.
Yeah, some good options. So
Yeah.
which one we choose, Back to the Future, National Apple Day, how are they going to know, Delaney?
They'll have to tune in tomorrow.
To the Wisconsin Live Desk. All right, I think it's time to take a quick break, but I always like to make Delaney toss us to break when we have her.
We'll be right back after 2 minutes.
Thanks, Delaney.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. Time check for you, 2:08. And in just a little bit, we're going to get a weather check for you here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Because I feel like in Wisconsin this time of year, it becomes harder to dress. Because Saturday felt unseasonably warm, beautiful, almost summer-like temperatures. And then I woke up Sunday and was going to take my dog on a walk and thought, let me just make sure it's still those warmer temperatures. No, it was in the 40s. So we'll have our very own Lisa Michaels joining us here shortly to give you your forecast and what you need to know as you head into the rest of this work week. But we do have a couple of things that we can head to here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, starting by taking a live look. Of course, this is Mitchell International Airport here in Milwaukee, which this week I feel like every time I look at this camera, I'm going to start thinking about the fact that I am flying on Friday, which is good. I'm excited to go to Florida. I'm excited for my Disney trip. I'm going to run my half, as we were saying. But I know we talked about it on Friday. I just got a little anxious. But the good news is I have my preferred seat. I have a window right by the wing on the right side of the plane, which I learned today is also what our news director Brandis prefers, is a window on the right side of the plane. And we learned Friday Delaney also likes a nice window seat. So none of us want the aisle. So I don't know if we could travel together because, Delaney, we don't want the same things. Or we do want the same things.
We could travel together. We just wouldn't be able to sit by each other.
Right. We would be like row 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
All in the window.
All in the window.
And I would prefer to be behind you so I could kick your chair. Just for fun.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I got you, girl. Don't worry. We can also take a live look at Pfizer, where, you guys, I just learned that I say this kind of funny. Pfizer is how I should be saying that. For, of course, Wednesday, the Bucks have their season opener returning to the court. And as we just said, I'll be there Wednesday morning bringing you all sorts of fun live coverage during Wake Up. So you're definitely going to want to tune in and see that. We also can see that senators are back in session here in D.C. We were listening in a little bit. They are not currently talking about anything that would have to do with the government shutdown or any sort of short-term funding. And the other thing that just kind of popped up here on our feeds is this. This is a U.S. Attorney Conference, an update on the latest arrest in the assault of former DOJ staffer Edward Christine. So we're actually going to listen in here just for a little bit and see what we can learn together from this feed.
Walked in the direction of where another crime occurred within minutes. You have heard of this crime. Edward Corristine, a 19-year-old DOJ person who was working in the administration, was walking a young woman to her car when he was approached in the 1400 block of Swan Street Northwest. Approximately 10 suspects approached him, and as they did, he pushed the young woman into the car. And he was protecting her from the group before he was then attacked by multiple suspects who then punched him repeatedly, causing significant injuries to him. They got him on the ground, and as they were doing so, they demanded the car from the woman who was inside the car and had already locked the car. They were banging on the car, they were pulling the car door, trying to get the car open, and were telling the woman in the car to hand over the keys. And the woman was, as I said, able to lock the car door, so they were unable to gain entry. And it was fortuitous that someone from the Metropolitan Police Department was on patrol. He happened to pull onto the block, and he witnessed the suspects actually assaulting Corristine, who was on the ground lying next to the car. The juveniles fled, but within a short period of time, 2 15-year-olds were arrested, and they were taken into the family court by the Attorney General's office. That is the local Attorney General's office. Now, I think what's significant about this case is the history of Lawrence Cotton Powell. I want you to follow me on this. Lawrence Cotton Powell is 19 years of age. He's now charged with robbery, first-degree robbery, for which he faces 15 years in prison. He also faces a charge of assault with intent to commit robbery and another 15 years. And robbery for Edward Corristine, 15 years. Assault with intent to commit robbery, another 15 years. And attempted carjacking, 5 years. Now, let me tell you his background. On April 3rd of this year, Lawrence Cotton Powell was sentenced for a felony attempted robbery. My office asked for jail time. Judge McLean, a judge sitting in the criminal part in Superior Court with no criminal background, made a decision to give Cotton Powell probation in spite of his conviction on a felony attempted robbery. Within 31 days, by May 4th, Powell reoffends. He's rearrested while he's on probation from the felony, and he's charged with simple assault and possession of a prohibited weapon B. On May 4th, my office asked that probation be revoked. But on May 16th, that same Judge McLean comes back and releases Cotton Powell and tells him basically, be a good boy. On July 24th, he is sentenced to one of the two misdemeanors that he's charged with. Again, my office asked for jail time after he victimized yet another person. And on July 25th, another judge suspends his sentence and decides that he should be on probation. So after a felony of attempted robbery conviction, after a violation of probation, after a second crime, after a second conviction, after no compliance with C. Sosa, the judges say do better and they let him go. And guess what? Within 10 days, he's at it again with Ethan Levine and Edward Korstein. Now, the co-defendant in this case is an individual by the name of Anthony Taylor. He charged also with the same arrest. He is with the same crimes. He is from Maryland. He is 18 years old. We are unaware of any history as it relates to him. I want to thank the Metropolitan Police Department. I want to thank the fact that this department went above and beyond and worked incredibly hard with the little evidence that we had to identify two of the perpetrators that we're going to be able to prosecute in criminal court. And I want to mention and thank the chief, and I also want to thank Mayor Bowser for her assistance in helping us. This is a coordinated effort by all of us. I also want to thank the marshals who are here, and they'll be speaking to you in a minute. But I again urge the D.C. Council to reconsider those trilogy of laws that allow Washington, D.C. to allow these young people to go out and victimize, re-victimize, and keep re-victimizing and putting the safety of the citizens who live, work, and visit here at risk. And I ask them to stand up finally and send a clear message, because the people of this district deserve no less than safety. So I want to call upon the police chief, Pamela Smith.
All right, if you are just joining us, we've been listening in on this press conference, an update on kind of a case where an ex-Doge staffer, Edward Korstein, was attacked. The teens who were charged in this, they were able to avoid jail time. They were sentenced to probation after pleading guilty. So that's kind of the latest update coming out of that press conference. But I want to talk a little bit closer to home. Let's talk weather here in the Milwaukee area. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like this time of year, I was saying it's like the hardest to dress for, because you think you're dressing appropriately when you leave. For instance, I'm in a full-on sweater dress because it was 30-something degrees when I left my home this morning. Now it's 64 degrees, so it's probably I'm going to be a little sweaty when I leave. So we got to bring in, of course, our very own weather expert, Lisa. Lisa, I mean, it's a good day to get outside, but how do you help me with this dressing debacle?
Tell you, Haley, you and I are on the same spectrum of thinking, because look at me, I'm in a sweater dress too, and I think by the time we step outside, we might be getting a little sweaty today. The sun is going to add that nice warm touch to your body, and we need it because we are going to have more cooler days ahead where you'll probably be pulling out those sweaters and flannels and keeping them on. While we have a lot of sunshine right now, we really don't have much to talk about other than the fact that the weather's calm and our temperatures are in the low to mid 60s. So this is exactly where we're expected to get today, the low to mid 60s for our highs. And our temperatures, in fact, for this afternoon are going to be the warmest of all the other work days this week. So Haley, it's okay if you have the sweater dress on right now, and if anyone else does, it's going to again be the warmest today. You'll probably not be sweating as much the upcoming days this week, especially when our conditions cool a little bit. We are going to talk about that cooling, but we are focusing still on today. Looking to stay dry for the rest of your afternoon, and winds out of the south, which that is the reason why we are staying on the warmer side today. It's because of our southerly winds, but they're not light. Our winds are very breezy. Carl Deffenbach, one of our other anchors, told me earlier that I had Beyonce hair today. It was just blowing in the wind, and you may be having the same thing, especially with our winds that have been gusting in the 20 to 30 mile per hour range. So yes, it's a tad bit less windy than yesterday. However, still going to hang on to some of the strong winds, not only today, but as we head through the upcoming days as well. Both days, Tuesday and Wednesday, gusts could still be in that 20 to 30 mile per hour range. But the difference here, notice instead of coming out of the south, like what we're experiencing today, the upcoming days it'll be coming out of the west. So that change has to do with a cold front that's going to move through. And yes, the word cold, we are going to feel that. We will see some showers move in tonight into tomorrow, but the big change, it's the temperatures, bringing in cooler than normal temperatures, about 5-10 degrees colder, in fact, keeping our high temperatures in the low to mid 50s by the time we're heading through most of this week. And we might see some low 60s by the weekend, but still it's looking to be one of the cooler weeks that we've had so far this fall. Now this morning, Haley and I had the same thought of pulling out the long sleeves and the sweaters because it was cold. Our temperatures were in the mid 30s for most spots, upper 30s, low 40s near lakefront. Watertown had a low of 33 degrees, so not far off from that freezing temperature, and patchy frost was also favorable in some inland areas. But we have many more days coming up this week where you'll probably want to bundle up, and you might need that ice scraper because as we head into Thursday morning, Friday morning, maybe Saturday, we're going to have to watch that, but certainly the end of the week, our low temperatures will be stretching from the low 30s inland to the mid 30s near the lakefront. So more frost potential by the end of the week. And I do think not only could we have some frost advisories put out for southeast Wisconsin, but we might even have our first freeze warning of the year. A lot of our models looking ahead are pinpointing that we could get near or below that freezing mark as we head into Thursday and Friday. So yes, big changes on the way. One of the reasons we're going to see some of these temperatures so low, it has to do with the fact that our skies are looking to be clear. Clear skies at night, that acts like a blanket, right? If we have clouds, it keeps us warm. A blanket keeps us warm. Without the clouds, that's like sleeping without any kind of blanket on, you get cold. Our temperatures dip more, and our winds also look to become on the lighter side by the end of the week. So all that, again, can factor into some frost forming, which means, and I can see it on our weather deck behind the camera here, all those beautiful flowers, the mums, all the sorts that you may have outside for decoration. Even your pumpkins, you might want to cover them up or bring them in to protect them from any kind of damage.
I can't believe we're already talking about freeze warnings, frost advisory, all those things, but it is that time of year. All right, so I'm going to get outside today because it's the nicest day. But Lisa, here's my question for this weekend, because you and I, we both grew up in the Chicago suburbs, and I know some people are probably going to start their trick-or-treating this weekend.
Yeah.
And there was nothing worse to me than when my mom would be like, you have to wear your winter coat with your costume. So what are we going to expect this weekend?
Well, so this weekend what we're tracking ahead is, well, we might see temperatures a couple degrees warmer, maybe again 50s to low 60s. It's all going to be about the rain. So right now we are tracking a system, and again, still many days ahead, but there is a better chance, especially in northern and central Illinois, for maybe some showers. A lot of that looks to stay south of Wisconsin. So if your kids are planning on going trick-or-treating this weekend or doing any kind of activities, right now we're looking drier. That being said, I would still stay tuned with us because all your Fox 6 weather experts, of course, will be tracking this weekend and next weekend's forecast very closely, especially when kids will be heading out trick-or-treating. Now, Haley, if you were here a couple years ago, you may have loved Halloween or not, because we, believe it or not, had snow falling on Halloween. And I agree, I hated it. When you had your nice costume on, who wants to bundle up? So maybe this year, Mother Nature will give us a treat rather than a trick and giving us some nice weather. So we'll have to wait and see.
All right, we were talking about trick-or-treating actually this morning because you and I both definitely loved doing it growing up.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite costume that comes to mind?
Oh, that's a tricky one. You know what? I don't know. I'd have to go back and think of all the things that I was.
Yeah.
But so this year, I'm going to put my clicker on the side here so I'm not getting off screen. But this year, every year, I do go on our wake up show and have a costume on. And I do have a costume this year. It is weather themed. If you know me, I've had a couple costumes go viral from many years past too, where I've always had a weather theme. So you'll have to stay tuned for wake up on Halloween morning to see what I'm dressing up as. But I can't give anything away other than it's weather themed. Obviously, as a meteorologist, I like to keep with the trend when I do weather, get the puns. But you told me that you have a cool costume you're going to be wearing this year, right?
Yeah, well, let me clarify. I'm not going trick-or-treating.
I think it's cool.
I'm not going trick-or-treating, but I am going to Disney on this weekend for my half marathon, and we're going to like one of the Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween parties.
Love it.
Where you can dress up. I am so lucky because my mom is amazing at sewing.
Mine too.
So I feel like we grew up spoiled.
Yeah.
We're like, these costumes are incredible.
Oh, elaborate.
And so I was like, well, I still would love to, get that skill set. So I asked my mom if she would make me a Lizzie McGuire costume.
Love it.
But specifically, if you've ever seen Lizzie McGuire, the movie, Where Dreams Are Made Of, or What Dreams Are Made Of, which is what the song she sings at the end, I'm going to be wearing that costume, and then my friend is going with me, and she's going to be Isabella. So together.
Perfect.
Hey now, hey now.
Lots of photos, and you need to do a comparison of what it looks like at the end compared to the original, because that movie, if you have some kids who maybe weren't around, you could still watch it and they'll love it. I mean, it doesn't matter what age you are. It's a feel-good movie, right?
And you also need zero knowledge of Lizzie McGuire.
Oh, yeah.
So even if they haven't seen the show, no worries at all. The movie will still make sense to them.
You know what surprises me, though? She has not aged one bit.
Hilary
She
Duff.
is just as stunning as when she was acting in that movie. So it's great. I love Halloween. I definitely love sewing. I'm not as good as my mother, but I'm just on the same boat as you, Haley, where I want to learn more of that skill. We used to have it in school back in the day. I think it was like 3rd to 4th grade for me. We had to learn how to use a sewing machine. And I don't see a lot of kids doing that anymore. But it's great because, when you get a hole in your shirt, it's easy to just whip stitch it up. Or for me, being tall, I like to make my dresses longer if I can. There's all these different things that you can do with the skills of sewing.
See, Lisa, we're on the opposite spectrum of that. I'm 5'3", so a lot of times my dresses are too long, and I need to have them a little shorter.
Hey, I'd rather have your problem than mine, because you can always make something shorter. You can't make it longer.
That's so true. That is so true. And also, I just remembered that I have a wedding in 2 weeks, and my bridesmaid's dress is way too long. So this is good. Let me put that on my to-do list.
Put that on your list, because we got to get that fixed, not the day of the wedding.
Correct, which is usually what I'm doing, because I'm kind of the worst bridesmaid, Lisa. It's okay, though. All right, thank you so much. You've gotten us, honestly, the weather, we got the forecast, and now we talked Halloween, which I'm always down to talk Halloween.
I'm so excited for Halloween now. We're ready. The candy needs to be a little cheaper in the stores. I will say that. It's expensive.
Yeah.
But still, right? Like, if I could go trick-or-treating at this age, I would. But I think we would get some looks, Haley, if we went door to door.
Lisa, I will bring you candy if you come trick-or-treating at my desk.
What's your favorite kind of candy? Let me ask you that before you go.
Okay. Sour Skittles.
Ooh, I haven't seen those as much recently.
I don't think I've ever gotten Sour Skittles trick-or-treating. Usually you just get like normal Skittles.
Yeah.
But I think that's what I would say is my...
Do they still make them?
They do. You know what else I love, which is so not Halloween? It's Easter.
Yeah.
I love mini Cadbury eggs. Not the cream like filled one, the mini ones.
Yeah, the little ones.
What's your favorite candy?
I love those. So Sour Patch Kids, by far, a little sour, a little sweet, you know, like the commercial.
Yep.
So you kind of get the best of both worlds. That's my favorite. And my other absolute favorite candy, it's not very well known. It's called the Zero Bar. And the reason why is because white chocolate is my favorite, even though it's not really chocolate. But it's probably one of the only candy bars that has white chocolate on it. It's kind of like, I guess it's like a Milky Way. It's got like caramel and milkiness to it and some nuts, and then it's got white chocolate on it. So
that sounds good. Do you like the Sour Patch watermelons?
Yes,
those are
they're
really
delish.
Yeah.
So the problem though is when you eat too many, it doesn't end up good later on. You can get like, you know, the little cold sores, or what do you call them? They're not cold sores, but they're like too much sour
stuff.
Yes.
It feels like
burns.
you almost like burned your mouth even though
Yes.
you didn't because
I
it was
agree.
sour.
Yeah.
I'm right there
well,
with you,
if I see
Lisa.
sour Skittles, they might just pop up on your desk for a Halloween treat. You
oh my
never
gosh.
know.
I'll go learn and buy a Zero bar for the first time.
You have to try it. I'm telling you. They're good.
Okay, I'm sold. I'm ready to try it. All right, thanks, Lisa. It's been great catching up with you.
You too.
Always nice to have a guest here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. I just learned so much about Lisa. I'm trying to think my favorite Halloween costume growing up. All that's coming to mind is I loved the show Say Yes to the Dress growing up, and so I had my mom, I feel so bad about this, I had her make me a full-on wedding dress, and she spent so much time on it, so much effort on it, and then it was really itchy, and I have like a zero tolerance for itchiness, and so it was driving me nuts, and I was like, I can't wear this. I can't go trick-or-treating in this, and so I went into our like costume closet, and I ended up pulling out a costume my sister wore a few years before I Dream of Jeannie, which is where she was like, that's a good show. But I never wore the wedding dress. So I'm so sorry, Mom. I promised to wear the outfit she made me for Lizzie McGuire. I've got that one. Delaney, do you have a favorite Halloween costume?
I think my favorite, I was Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, did you click your heels?
Loved getting to wear the ruby red slippers.
Yeah.
I probably wore them many more times than just Halloween. But
of course. Of course.
That had to be my favorite.
I think of costumes I actually wore. I had my mom make me a Wildcat cheerleading uniform, which was High School Musical.
That's a good one.
And she also made me a beautiful Belle, like Beauty and the Beast dress. And then in my adult life, she makes me and my dog costumes. So she made me.
That's so cute.
She made me Lilo and Stitch most recently.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah, you never have to grow up is really the lesson here.
True.
Yeah. All right, Delaney, thanks for telling us your favorite Halloween costume there. What do you think Ben's favorite Halloween costume was?
I have no idea. I'll have to ask him.
Yeah, we'll have to ask him. He's standing by. He's ready to take over for his hour. So hopefully he starts his shift here on the Wisconsin Live Desk talking about his favorite Halloween costume.
Oh, yeah.
We'll make it happen. All right, you guys, it has been a blast hanging out with you the last hour. As I mentioned, it's 2:30 now, so it is time for Ben to come in. He'll have you covered here for the final hour of the Wisconsin Live Desk. In the meantime, I'm going to take us back to the Senate floor. You can see there Chuck Schumer is talking. So we'll leave this up while I log out and Ben logs in. But thanks for hanging. I'll be back tomorrow.
Democrats are demanding nothing more or less than what the overwhelming majority of Americans already want. Even a majority of MAGA voters want it. 58% of those who voted for Trump say renew the tax credits on into next year. Americans want to keep their health care costs low and avoid financial ruin. Americans want to see the government reopened as soon as possible, and Democrats agree. We're at the ready. We want to get past this crisis, but Republicans need to wake up from whatever dream they're in, because fixing the ACA will require them to take action. Now, on the economy. Republicans like to talk about eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse. Well, they can start by looking at Secretary Kristi Noem's expense report. This weekend, the New York Times reported that the Department of Homeland Security has purchased not one but two private jets, luxury jets, for Kristi Noem to the tune of $172 million in taxpayer dollars. The administration says these are G700 aircraft. That's one of the biggest planes there is, private planes there is. And they say they were purchased for safety reasons. Kristi Noem and the administration say these G700 aircraft were purchased for safety reasons. That's like saying you bought a Rolls Royce to get good seatbelts. This just shows you how much contempt this administration has for people struggling to make ends meet. Let's be very clear. At a time that Americans are paying more for groceries, falling behind on car payments, seeing their electricity rates go up and up and up, Secretary Noem thinks it's a good use of taxpayer dollars to buy two jets known for having, quote, the most spacious cabin in the industry. Whatever happened to the Kristi Noem who said any expense at DHS over $100,000 needed her personal approval? Apparently, she wanted more legroom for flying. This would all be perhaps a little more amusing if it wasn't so insulting to the American people. Because while Donald Trump's cabinet secretaries get their private jets, The American people are getting higher health care premiums, higher grocery costs, a worsening job market. Let me just show this chart, a list of awful headlines about the economy just from last week or so. From NBC, U.S. consumers bearing more than half the cost of tariffs so far, Goldman Sachs says. In the Wall Street Journal, grocery prices keep rising, frustrated consumers are trying to adapt. Market Watch, high inflation and lack of jobs leave Americans frustrated with the economy. Those are headlines last week. So let me get this straight. Americans pay 90% of the cost of Donald Trump's tariffs for more groceries. They see fewer jobs, and now the American people have to pay for 2 top-tier private luxury jets for Kristi Noem. If you want to know how much contempt Donald Trump has, how much contempt his MAGA administration has for working people, look no further than Noem's luxury jets. Yield the floor, note the absence of a quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Alston-Brooks.
Hey everybody, Ben Haleman from the Wisconsin Live Desk. Just getting settled in here as we're starting a whole new hour here on your Fox local app. Live picture, you just heard from Senator Chuck Schumer as, the government's still shut down. Nothing has changed about that. I don't even think they took a vote today on the government shutdown. That's not expected until tomorrow. Been kind of a slow day with everything. You'd think with everything being shut down, there'd be more activity out in the Capitol, but that's not really the case, as we're taking a live picture there from the White House, where the president did meet with the Australian Prime Minister earlier today, and then will meet with members of the LSU baseball team this afternoon. But not a lot of people talking government shutdown in front of cameras, but this is the Live Desk, so if something happens live, you will see it right here in your app. I'm currently in a room, if this is your first rodeo with us, where I've got all these different feeds that are coming in right now live to us, like this feed that's coming in from our photojournalist Tim Primo, who's down in the Deer District, and you can see there's some workers out there, and I'm not 100% sure if it's related to what I'm about to talk about. Actually, there's some new restaurants down there, as what used to be a brewery on the end has merged with a different company. They've changed the name. Look at all these beautiful things out here in the Deer District. There we're showing it now. But here we go. There you see the banner. As the mayor has just announced, we're going to have the 112th annual Christmas tree lighting, and it's going to happen right here in the Deer District. So photojournalist Tim Primo is kind enough to, we call this B-roll in the industry, where you just get some beauty shots so we can use it in the news later today. Also showing what a beautiful day is out there. But there's the announcement. Justin, you're invited. The Christmas tree lighting is going to happen Friday, November 21st. This is just into, literally moments ago, into my inbox. So you're the first ones to know about it. Always a great time down there in the Deer District where Tim is. See that green spot right there? They're going to put a giant tree. This is the city Christmas tree used to be down by, by City Hall. But now they put it literally right in front of where Tim is. And then you got that fake grass area right behind you. That's all down there. Oh, does that look like some birds have been on there? Looks like it needs to. Yeah, let's get it. Oh, it's just leaves. Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness. Tim Primo is so good at his job that he zoomed in for us. I thought that was maybe some bird feathers and some other stuff. No, it's just fall. And despite the fact there's no trees in the Deer District, they're leaves. Well, there are a few trees. And there's about to be a giant tree. So yes, they transform. We're not even in the buck season. That's going to happen in a couple of weeks here. And then they're going to transform this space into what they call the cheer district, as they will bring in, wrong button there, bring in the huge tree, and they do a great job decorating it. We Energies has jumped on the We Energies Foundation. So they're the big sponsor, that they have a huge celebration. It's been like feeling 10 below zero the last 2 years they've done this, but people still show up in windy, so that's pretty cool. So why do I keep hitting that button instead of that button? Okay, sorry. Sorry, because that one's still hit. Okay, there we go. If you've ever walked on that grass, I gotta say that is the best feeling material. It's like a rubbery kind of thing down there in the cheer district. But yeah, 112 years they've been doing this in the city of Milwaukee. They are like one of the OGs when it comes to holding a community gathering that's sponsored by the city and bringing it down there. But they've moved it over the last few years because they used to light the city Christmas tree behind City Hall, and to the surprise of no one, you couldn't really see it. So if you can't see the Christmas tree, what's the point? If nobody, you light it up, they had an event that was cute and all, but then nobody would visit it. They've now moved it to an area that they know thousands of people will visit, especially on Bucks nights. And anytime there's a big event down at Fiserv, everyone's taking pictures of it. It's just become a much better space for the city to gather. We have this big open area. And obviously all the restaurants and bars that are down there, they get in the spirit as well. So that's the big news coming down from the Fiserv Forum. Our thanks to Tim Primo, who's out and about. I think he was shooting. Delaney, was he shooting some Buck stuff earlier today? I don't know. He's been down.
I think he was.
Yeah, he's down in that area. That's how a photographer says yes. The nods of yes. So he's been shooting Buck stuff as we're getting ready for their season to get going. And the home opener, is it this week? The home opener is this week, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on Wednesday.
It's on Wednesday because I just heard Haley's going to go down there. They're having media availability throughout the whole morning where they get everybody really pumped up. So this was a surprise announcement in my inbox. I was not ready to talk Christmas tree lighting ceremonies yet, as I'm still working on, getting ready for Halloween, which I don't have my costume fully. I know you guys were talking about it earlier. I don't have that all set up. But thanks, Tim. Appreciate you coming online for us for a few minutes here on the live desk. So appreciate bringing Tim in. So this is the deal here on the live desk. It's been kind of we call it a quiet day in the newsroom, where there's not been a million things going on all at once, but that can really change in any moment here when you are on the live desk. So I'm just looking at my feeds, and I'll just give you a quick round robin of the feeds that I currently have pulled up, just so you can get an idea of what we're working on, what we're seeing at this hour. Actually, this is a great shot because that's the live shot from Fiserv Forum from one of our building cameras. A little bit of wind out there, but if you look straight down from the corner of that building, the front left corner, that's where Tim is. If you've ever been to the Fiserv Forum, Pabst Theater is right there. Not Shank-Hall, what am I trying to think of? Turner Ballroom. We're looking at Turner Ballroom in one of those buildings right there. Sorry, I'm getting my Milwaukee venues messed up when it comes to music. But great live picture there. That's one of the shots we're looking at. Then, of course, we're watching what's going on in Washington, D.C. as the government still shut down. Oh, look, a bunch of people are walking out. Could that be the LSU baseball team? They've got I believe is it a 4 o'clock meeting, Delaney, with the 5 o'clock?
I think it's 3 o'clock our time.
Oh, 3 o'clock. Oh, so that might actually, and I would not be surprised if that's the baseball team walking out one of the doors right there. Okay, so 3 o'clock. So that could happen here in the next hour that we will see. It's always fun, when a baseball team or a professional sports team wins the national championship, and then they go down to the White House, and despite whoever is the president at the time, they kind of throw politics aside, and they just have the opportunity to celebrate that team, organization. There's going to be a lot of LSU, Louisiana pride happening at the White House today, but all of the backdrop of this is happening as the government remains shut down. Live picture inside the Senate chambers as we're still waiting for these guys to vote, come to some sort of agreement and open the government back up. But the latest is there really hasn't been a lot of movement on this, as the Democrats want Republicans to expand Obamacare, subsidies, healthcare subsidies, continue them. They're set to expire at the end of the year. And the Trump administration and Republicans are saying, no, they've got a different deal that would extend the spending of the government. And then they say they want to, negotiate and talk about these issues after they get the government back open again. So that's the stalemate right now. So there was some news that was made out of the White House earlier today as the government shutdown continues, and it has nothing to do with the government being shut down. It has to do with Australia, as the Prime Minister was in town and actually signed a framework deal, and it has to do with rare earth minerals. This to combat what's going on with China around the world. There's been kind of a rush around the world to secure these rare earth minerals that are used in all of our smart electronics, from vehicles, sometimes your home appliances. They all use some of these rare earth minerals, and there's kind of an arms race, you could almost call it, between countries. And so there's the framework deal, which oftentimes in politics doesn't mean a whole lot because a framework means, yeah, we kind of know where we want to go, but we haven't sealed the deal on all of these things. So that's what there was signed there today between the U.S. and the Prime Minister of Australia, whose name is Anthony Albanese. And again, this would be critical materials. I mean, think of all your computers, your cars, airplanes oftentimes, defense systems, all use a lot of those rare earth minerals. So that is another shot we're watching here on the live desk. I want to take our quick first break here, and when I return, we'll see A, what pops up on the live desk, and B, we got to talk a little about what happened over the weekend, because it was a violent weekend in Milwaukee, and we'll talk about what happened and where the investigations on several different crimes are when we return. You're watching the Wisconsin Live Desk exclusively here on Fox Local.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Ben Handelman from the Wisconsin Live Desk. It's 2:48, you news nerds. If you're joining us here on the Live Desk, you are my people, because that means you want to know what is happening in the world. They do have a new feed just popped in. That is from Washington, D.C., right outside the White House. And on the left, it's an area that you rarely see if you ever watch news made from the White House. Those are all different tents that different networks are in. And they all give their live reports outside the White House from, I guess I'm calling them tents. They're almost permanent structures, though. My wife, who's once interned in Washington, D.C. for a news organization, this whole area has like a nickname, and I forget it because I've never worked in Washington, D.C. But yeah, pretty cool, as that's members of the media who are doing their day-to-day job, even though the government is shut down, and you're seeing them go to their different tents. And they set microphones up here in case anyone from the Trump administration, sometimes they'll walk up to this microphone and they'll speak on any topic of the day. And sometimes, I mean, Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, she'll come unexpectedly to this microphone. We've seen that live on the live desk before. So anyway, that's the new feed that's up here. There's another shot of the White House from much higher up, as we are expecting in the next few minutes, we believe, the Louisiana State University LSU baseball team is meeting with the president to celebrate their national championship. But let's talk about the weather out there, because it is beautiful. Live picture from Milwaukee, as I'm working on my weather boxes so I can do this and show my colleague. There we go. I did it all correct. Lisa Michaels, everybody, who is becoming a star today here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Hey, Lisa, how are you?
Good. How are you doing today, Ben?
Man, was it a cold start. I'm doing much better than I was this morning. And my neighbor, I think, was kind of like a lot of people and me, who we all woke up this morning and you either didn't have your heat on or you had it on such a low setting that you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
It is freezing in my house.
Yeah, and I was actually worried because there's a potential that some of our inland areas could have had frost this morning. And I'm like, where's my ice scraper? Did I leave it in my garage? Is it in my car? I'm like, what do I use instead?
I leave mine in year-round. Year-round.
That's what I realized. Now I had my ice scraper in my car. I have a mini shovel just in case for the snow, not for digging anything, you know, for who knows what.
Yeah, you just never know when you'll need a shovel.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But, you know, thankfully, I don't think a lot of us saw frost, but we did see some very cold temperatures, and we have some more cold mornings ahead where more frost is possible, especially with maybe our first freeze of the season for some.
Now, I will say the lake is still, I mean, we had an unseasonably warm lake.
Yeah.
So if you live close to Lake Michigan, that tends to help us when we're talking first frost of the year, right?
It does, it does. So it depends on the wind direction. So the lake has actually been the warmest it's ever been on record.
Wow.
Keep that in mind, this is massive. But when we have the winds coming off of the lake, so we have some sort of easterly direction, we normally talk about winds off of the lake means it's cooler by the lake in the summer, yes?
Right.
But when we start getting into some of these cooler evenings, the water's really warm. So when the winds are blowing over the lake, that actually can bring some of the warmth inland, which is usually why when we get into this time of year and we do see our first snowfall here or there, lakeshore areas don't see snow, but inland areas do. It's still that warmer air that's moving towards our lakeshore communities. So it's a really cool, fascinating thing that Lake Michigan can keep us cooler, it can keep us warmer, but because the lake is still so warm, it can keep our temperatures more on the mild side for some of our mornings. So that's also why we don't usually see some of the colder temperatures for freeze conditions or frost conditions near the lake as early as some of our inland spots.
That's pretty interesting. Also, because my band name is Cooler by the Lake.
Is it really?
And that kind of goes against that because, yeah, actually, it can be warmer by the lake that we're finding out. It really depends on the month.
It does. You know, Ben, it's maybe cooler by the lake because you're by the lake, right? You're cool. You got your shades on and you're by the lake.
I do, and I live close to the lake. I live like 2 blocks from the lake. In the weather department, there's a chance for some rain tonight, but we're not talking a lot of rain, right?
No, you know, we're not talking a lot of rain. It's a very narrow band there that you see, right? That is going to eventually move in. The clouds will move in first, but that will be progressing our direction, giving us some showers late tonight. I'd say around 9 o'clock and into the pre-dawn hours of tomorrow. Then we will have some break time tomorrow, but there is going to be more scattered showers in the forecast Tuesday, Wednesday, and unfortunately, that looks to be on the backside of this system, so it's going to be more of that cold rain that we're going to deal with.
Okay, but can I be honest? I don't care about this right now. All I care about is Sunday. Well, I do care about today.
Well, I was going to say this. This is gorgeous.
I have a 5-year-old, as you know.
Yes.
And so I am 100% Well, I think it's a weird year because this, they always do it the Sunday around Halloween.
Yeah.
And I don't know, when I was growing up, like we went on Halloween. And I know some communities around here just do Halloween.
Yeah.
But not my community. And so it's the Sunday. It's kind of early this
But
year because they're doing it the Sunday before.
Shouldn't it be on like a Friday or Saturday so that way the parents don't have to be up late or the kids if they have school the next day?
I know, well, and in my community, and this is a big controversy, they do it from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. It's daylight trick-or-treating.
Well,
And maybe, and I know you could bring out all the arguments, it's safer, we
It
can see
is.
the kids, it's warmer,
but you
like
don't see
oftentimes.
the pumpkins lit up.
No, it's not spooky at all.
Yeah, but
I
does
think
your
it should.
5-year-old want spook and gore and all that?
Well, I don't know about gore, but it is kind of like magical when you've got like the lights and the, not everybody's got gory stuff. Sometimes, it's, like you said, there's jack-o'-lanterns. It's not so. You see those during the day, you're like, that's a pumpkin.
I know.
At night, it turns magical. So yeah, I'm petitioning. I think 4 to 6 would be great, or 4 to 6, 7. Where you get most daylight and then it turns dark right at the end, and then you go home and
I think
eat all your
by
candy.
my parents, when I was growing up, right, you went trick-or-treating on Halloween, you stayed up late, you were tired the next day at school, you had a bellyache from eating all the candy, but now I think they've changed it, and part of it's for the safety reasons. The earlier hours, they have a time for younger kids, and then usually the evening is, when you get the older kids and high schoolers to come around. I still want to go trick-or-treating as an adult, but
No one's
if I were to
stopping you.
knock on your door, Ben, what would you think?
I would assume that your kid is somewhere else. You'd be surprised. As I give out a lot of candy in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Sometimes adults just show up. They just want a piece of candy.
Hey, you know what? My parents,
I
they
give a lot
give
of
out
props.
the king-size candy
Oh, you
bars.
would be the king-size house.
So, we even have adults. It's mainly our neighbors, by the way, that come because they want to be able to get a candy bar, and their kids don't want them to trick or treat with them, so they'll like come separately. Hey, you know what? To each their own. And candy's expensive nowadays.
It's
I'm
so
shocked.
expensive. I went to Costco because I get my big Costco bag of candy. And I'm basically broke now because of how much money I just spent
And
in
it
candy.
used to be, Ben, when we'd go out trick-or-treating when we were younger, you get like multiple pieces. Sometimes if you're lucky, you get a handful. I feel like because it's so pricey, you're going to get one little piece.
And
Just one.
So put your running shoes on, kids.
You know what you should do with your child, though, is every year, so I have an older sibling, though, we would weigh how much candy we got so we could determine who got more by the weight. You should have your daughter weigh how much she gets every year.
It has,
Then you know how many more houses you've hit, too.
When she was 2, barely any houses. You couldn't even walk. 3, not a lot of candy. Last year, she it's been getting higher and higher as the years go on.
Yeah.
So tell me about Sunday, especially this weekend. There's a lot of trick-or-treating going on.
There is. So we're going to get into that forecast. We're really seeing a lot of sunshine right now, obviously, but it's going to more so be about the temperatures because today is the warmest day that we're looking at having all week long. Mid-60s for our temperatures right now, and that's pretty much where our highs are going to settle with lots of sunshine. Saturday afternoon was gorgeous. We were in the 70s. Yesterday was tricky. We hit the 50s, but today we are at least rounding out some warmer temperatures because of our southerly winds. Now our winds are very strong. We had winds picking up yesterday, and they're going to continue to remain on the breezy side with gusts between 20 to 30 miles an hour. This is current wind gusts right now, which we're close to that in Sheboygan, Fond du Lac, Juneau. We will continue to be tracking real strong winds, unfortunately, as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday. So really, it's going to be a breezy first half of the week. Today, it's nicer because the winds are out of the south. That's keeping us warmer, and we are on the dry side. Tuesday, Wednesday, we have a change in the wind direction as this system heads our way. So that is going to drop our temperatures for the upcoming days, and it also means that when we have this front move through later on tonight, we're going to circulate some rain on the backside of that, and that's going to give us that cool, breezy rain, not the best conditions on Tuesday and Wednesday. Notice our drop in temperatures, though, by about 10 degrees or more as we head from today to tomorrow. Temperatures will be in the low to mid-50s, and for once, that's below average. We haven't talked about below average temperatures that much during the month of October, but we are. We will get back into the upper 50s, low 60s by the weekend. weekend, even as we head into Sunday. Right now, again, we are looking at trends farther out. There is a trend of a system getting closer to us. The odds of that moving into Wisconsin, again, it's slim, but it's still there. Most of the models are projecting, though, at the moment that that system will keep precipitation further south, and really we won't get another hard-hitting system of showers until we head towards Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. So stay tuned with us. I know we have a lot going on for trick-or-treating and even holiday activities for Halloween, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we'll be watching that, and all of our Fox 6 weather experts, of course, will be tracking that closely. Morning low temperatures. I mean, Ben, you mentioned it was cold. Take a look. We had 33 in Watertown, 34 in Juneau. Of course, warmer by the lake. We talked about that, right? But notice as we head through the rest of this week, Thursday morning, Friday morning, we can see some of the mid-30s, but that's for the lake. Our inland areas could be near or even below freezing. So again, because of this, we are going to be talking about not only widespread frost potential, but there's possibility, besides frost advisories, we may have some counties issued under our first freeze warning of the year. It's so hard because when we put the pumpkins out, we want them to last for the holidays, and even our fall mums, you might want to take them in or cover them up as we head towards the end of the week. Otherwise, you'll have a really scary, mushy pumpkin.
Although when it gets really hot with, I mean, pumpkins, you've already chopped them off the vine, you know?
Correct.
So and you kind of want it to be a little cold, because if it gets really hot, they just turn into like, you know what they look like.
Yeah.
So I'm cool with the cold mornings. I don't know about my mums. My mums, I feel like if they make it to November 1st, that's a win.
They normally don't. I mean, when I've had them, maybe the first week of November, but shortly after that,
then
they
they don't look
just
so good.
Go downhill, you know?
But I'm liking your Halloween forecast for this weekend, especially on that Sunday.
Yeah, me too. I'm liking it too. And actually, I just looked ahead at the general trends for actual Halloween. And again, I can't give you specifics, but the trend is that our temperatures are still looking at being warmer than normal. The precipitation trend, that's kind of far out, but we are hinting at warmer than average temperatures, which I think we'll take. If we can just mix that with a little bit of sunshine in the forecast and no rain, I think it would be perfect.
That would be.
Several Halloweens ago, do you remember we had snow?
Yeah, we've had like multiple Halloweens we've had snow.
Yeah. And what kid wants to go outside when there's snow?
And it's not even the good snow, it's that wet, nasty, like first that you just get soaked.
It gets dirty quickly. No.
I did spend several of my Halloweens as a kid, though, just in a plastic bag, because you don't want to like put a coat over your costume, so your mom's just like, well, here, throw this bag over your head, and I'll put a hole in the top, and then you can quickly take it off and scare people with. I was bummed because
no one could see your costume.
Yeah.
The coat zipped up. I'm like, well, what do I look like? I look like the kid from the Christmas Story whose mom bundled him up, and can't even walk.
That could be an outfit, though, That could be an outfit. Lisa Michaels, you're always so kind for coming here on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Thank you so much. Ben, I got one question for you. I asked Haley this, too. What is your favorite Halloween candy?
Oh, Reese's Peanut Butter Cup, duh.
Oh, without a doubt. Now, are you one of those people that eats them all year round? Because they come out with them for every holiday now, pretty much.
I mean, if it's in front of me, I'll eat it. I don't usually buy it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I bought all my Halloween candy, and I haven't opened the bag up yet, which is, I actually hid it on myself. It's kind of like deep back in a crevice.
You're well behaved then.
Yeah, I should check and see if my wife ate it, because it may be gone.
She's in the building.
Are you dressing up this year for Halloween?
I am dressing up this year. Every year. So for, of course, my theme is weather theme.
Right.
There is going to be a costume this year when I do wake up for a
show.
So
okay, don't tell me. I want to be surprised.
Weather is your key, and honestly, that's probably a very broad area.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this: it's something that I have not been before. So if you follow me,
I know some of your past outfits.
This is going to be a little different.
Okay, that's a good tease ahead. Lisa, have a wonderful day. We'll see you on Fox 6 News, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, all the things that you're on all the time.
We all live here, right?
We pretty much here. That's the joy of here on Fox Local. We're on all the time. Thanks, Lisa. Ben. Appreciate it. As a live picture outside. All right, I got to take a quick break. I'm seeing one new feed coming up. It's from the Senate. Somebody's talking, and he's from a state just to the south of us. And I want to talk about what's happened over the weekend in Milwaukee with our crime. So you're watching the Wisconsin Live Desk exclusively here on Fox Local. We'll be right back.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
All right, news nerds, 304, Ben Handelman from the Wisconsin Live Desk, and we've got a new feed that has just popped up, and we'll take it in a second. Dick Durbin from Illinois was just speaking on the Senate floor. He has just wrapped up his speech, it looks like. Dick Durbin is a Democrat who is retiring at the next election, so this is his last term in Congress. Little known fact, I once left a microphone in Dick Durbin's kitchen because I was a reporter in Springfield, Illinois, and he used to do this thing. I don't know if he still does this, but he would fly home from Washington on the weekends, and then he would be like, hey, all you local Springfield media, if you want to come talk to me, that'd be great. He would do it in front of his house, and so we're sitting in front of his house one day, all talking about just issues of the day. Dick Durbin's been in the Senate for ages. So we're all sitting there talking. It started to rain. So Dick Durbin's like, come on into my kitchen. And then me being the idiot 20-something reporter, we interview him. And then I left all my equipment there. And I'm sitting at my desk like typing. I didn't even know that I left my, because I was a one-man band reporter. So I was the cameraman and doing everything. And I'm writing up my story back at the TV station. And someone's like, hey, Dick Durbin's wife just stopped by and gave us your microphone. Did you leave a microphone at Dick Durbin's house? I'm like, I guess I did. So there's my Dick Durbin story. As obviously Dick Durbin's talking about much more important things on the Senate floor today as the government remains shut down. But there is a big race that will happen in Illinois, and it will be one to watch from afar. Obviously, as us Wisconsinites don't have the say in who represents them in the Senate. But several Democrats, I think, will step up to the plate to try and win that seat there in Illinois. So pretty interesting stuff with Dick Durbin retiring, but he just gave an impassioned speech on the floor. I do want to talk a little bit about what happened over the weekend here in Milwaukee, because it was a pretty violent weekend. And as we speak at this hour, the Milwaukee Police Department, they are currently investigating multiple shootings that happened over the weekend. Here's some of the video that our photographers took over the weekend. All of this happening on Sunday. 3 dead, 1 wounded in separate shootings. And I just want to run through the different investigations that are currently underway in Milwaukee today as they're trying to get justice for the people who were killed and the people who were shot. Let's start with the worst incident that happened, 27th and Atkinson. Milwaukee police say 2 people were shot right around 9:20 at night. A 26-year-old suspect was located actually a short distance away, but when police arrived to this shooting scene, they found a 64-year-old and a 50-year-old pronounced dead at the scene. That 26-year-old located a short distance away. We don't have, I'm just, with the ages, you wonder, was this a domestic incident that happened? No information is coming right now from the Milwaukee Police Department. All we've been told is they're investigating this. They do have a suspect in custody who was found a short distance away, and they are going to send those charges off to the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office, of course. So that's 27th and Atkinson. The other deadly shooting happened 31st and Cortland. MPD says this happened less than an hour later, or about an hour later. It's 10:25 at night. A 44-year-old was shot, and that person was pronounced dead at the scene. No one has been brought into custody for that shooting. Police at this hour, last check, they're still searching for the shooter. That's 31st in Cortland. And then there was a third shooting that happened at 17th in Concordia. That was in the afternoon, 2:20 in the afternoon. One person was shot, and they actually arrived themselves at the hospital for treatment. So the person got shot, drove themselves to the hospital. We don't have the extent right now. As I'm looking through we've got our crews are kind of working on all these investigations today. But right now, police say they're seeking unknown suspects, which is the police way of saying we don't have anybody in custody, and if we know who we're looking for, we haven't released that publicly yet. So not a good weekend in Milwaukee. I'm just going to look up real quick the crime data, the stats here that is updated regularly. I'm not sure if these shootings would be in there, but Milwaukee has seen a lot of progress when it comes to violent crime this year. They're down in robberies, big time, 27% drop in robberies. Big drop in aggravated assaults, that's down 22%. They've seen a big drop in burglaries, down 13%, down 10% in theft, but the one area they have not been able to really hone in on and control is the homicides. That is up 8% compared to last year. 119 people have died in the city of Milwaukee. And to be honest, I don't know if those 3 homicides would be in this data, because they do update the data every 24 hours, but that these occurring on a Sunday, I'm not sure if those 3 deaths are included in the 119, or we'll see that number rise tomorrow as now the MPD command staff kind of gets to work on their Monday, and if so, they'll update these numbers for tomorrow. So yeah, again, of all the things that they made progress on this year, homicides continues to be a sticky issue in the city of Milwaukee. New feed has just popped up. It's coming out of the White House. Oh, and just as I take it, it goes black. But okay. Oh, and it just came back as soon as they come back to me. I'm gonna pot up the audio here. The pop in circumstance. The LSU baseball team is currently about to be recognized for winning the national championship. And you see them all kind of filing in here. Man, they have not chosen the biggest room to do this in. Everyone is crammed in here. But you're going to see lawmakers from Louisiana. This is the president who is expected to meet with this baseball team. There will be some speeches. And President Trump can be a wild card, but oftentimes, when a sports team comes, politics is thrown off to the side and not talked about. And it just tends to be a very lighthearted moment of the day around some very serious issues. And that is what we are expecting here. Oh, I can see there's the Speaker of the House is in the room, front and center. So yeah, let's just listen to this for a few minutes, and we'll see if some people take to the microphone as any minute here. There you can see all the members of the baseball team who won the national championship, won the College World Series out in Omaha, Nebraska, and we are expecting the president to be speaking very soon. So stay with us. They've got the nice, looks like the Shivari chair. Are they Shivari? I don't know, because they actually look more classic in wood. And there's a member of the media's face. He has no idea his face is being broadcast out to the Wisconsin Live Desk. Someone's taking a picture of him. Look at it. No one more their phone. She has no idea she's on the Wisconsin Live Desk either. But she is. Live music. Okay, let's listen to this for a few minutes, and this will be fun. Again, the LSU baseball team about to be honored inside the White House. That's the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, that they've zoomed in on there, who he's from Louisiana. I'm actually looking up. Let's see. I don't know if he is an LSU grad, but he's a proud Louisiana politician. So Mike Johnson gets front and center there as they're about to, again, you're going to see all the politicians coming out of the woodwork from Louisiana for the honor. 8 times LSU has won the baseball championship. 8 times. They've been pretty dominant in that sport, and they just won last year's championship last summer, and here they're getting honored. So again, we'll listen to the music and the pomp and circumstance. You're listening live as the president will make his way out here to congratulate the team for taking home the trophy. All right, it's confirmed. Mike Johnson is a Tiger. He went to LSU. 1995, according to my quick search here. So obviously he's going to be front and center as one of the most powerful politicians in the entire city of Washington, D.C. right now, as he will be there to greet the LSU baseball team. All right, so we're waiting for the president. We're waiting for the pomp and circumstance to start in the White House, and I'm following other feeds as well. Do have a live picture up from the feed. So as they start their speeches, I'm going to get a quick break in here, and I'll bring you there when we return
LSU Tigers
on the Wisconsin Live Desk.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Ben Hillman from the Wisconsin Live Desk. We're moments away from LSU being greeted by the president. I think they've already met with him, maybe behind closed doors, but the whole team is now out there. Live picture from inside the White House as the players are out and about, and they are getting ready to be honored here. Look at them all. They've all squeezed in. And here we could see, I think we're awaiting the arrival of the president, as everyone's gotten real quiet all of a sudden.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, accompanied by LSU Tigers head coach Jay Johnson and LSU Shreveport Pilots head coach Brad Neffendorf.
Great. Two pretty good coaches, right? Absolutely. I'd say so. A lot of good coaches up here. Well, I want to thank you. It's a special place to me, a special state. As you know, we won it by, 36 points or some ridiculous numbers like that. And so when I was asked to do this, I said, this is my honor. Please sit down. We'll have a little fun, okay? Thank you all very much. Great group of people. This place is crowded. You got a lot of fans. Who do you think is going to make it into the major leagues? Raise your hand if you think that. I guarantee a lot of them, when you hear about their records and their conquests. I want to just begin by saying that we're joined today, two collegiate championship baseball teams from the great state of Louisiana, two teams that were absolutely the top. Both of these teams brought incredible pride and grit and glory to their schools, for the state, and today they're bringing that same Louisiana spirit to a place called the White House. Has anyone heard of it, huh? You know, we're building right behind us, we're building a ballroom. They've wanted a ballroom for 150 years, and I'm giving that honor to this wonderful place. I think we should do it. This was the ballroom, and this room holds 88 people, and the new one will hold 999 people, which is a difference. I say 999 because I didn't want to crack 1,000. I didn't want people to get concerned because that's getting big. But we're going to have, we'll have the most beautiful ballroom in the country. It's going on, and for those that are interested, we got to get back to baseball. But you see the gold drapes? That's a knockout panel. We knock it in. You go. That comes out. And then you have essentially glass and exactly in the decor of the White House. I didn't know I'd be standing here right now because right on the other side, you have a lot of construction going on, which you might hear periodically. But that's a knockout panel, and that goes right into the ballroom, and the ballroom's going to be beautiful. So you'll have drinks, cocktails, everything on this floor, and then they'll say, welcome to dinner. You walk into the ballroom, Mr. Senators, and you're going to see a ballroom the likes of which I don't think it'll be topped. It'll be the finest. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It just started. And it just started today, so that's good luck. We want the same luck that they had and the same talent. But I'm thrilled to welcome the 2025 NCAA College World Series champions. That's pretty good. The Louisiana State University Tigers. So where are you guys? Great. And of course, we have the 2025 NAIA Baseball National Champions, the LSU Shreveport Pilots. So those two teams, you'll hear about them in a second. And I want to thank the Tigers head coach, Jay Johnson, who I just met. These are great coaches, who led the team to its second championship win in just 3 years, and also is the LSU Shreveport head coach, Brad Neffendorf, who is the College Baseball Foundation's 2025 Coach of the Year. Not bad. I think we should bring them into government. They don't need the baseball. We could bring them into government. We could definitely use it. We're also honored to be joined by the incredible duo from Louisiana, Speaker Mike Johnson. As you know, Mike is phenomenal. The job he's doing is phenomenal. And House Majority Leader Steve Scalise, a very brave man, very brave man. Where's Steve? Hi, Steve. Two great guys. You know, Steve is very brave, though. He was badly hurt, and they put him at second base. Did you ever hear of Bobby Richardson? He had great depth. He had great range. He could go all over. He was with the Yankees for many years, and I don't know, he came from around your area, I think, Bobby Richardson. He was second baseman for the Yankees for many years. So he was known for unbelievable. He'd field balls at shortstop when they were hit. It was great. And when Steve was so badly injured, you know about that. Nobody ever really suffered like that. We thought he was a goner. Actually, I went to the hospital that night, but he came back, and a few months later, he's standing at second base, and he was having a hard time moving. I wouldn't say he had Bobby Richardson's range. Do you agree with that? And he was having a little bit of a hard time. He was coming at it. It was really a very bad experience for him. So he's standing in the stadium over here, the Washington Stadium, and a ball is smashed to him. The first pitch of the game, he's at second base, and he wasn't looking to be a hero.
So you are listening live now to the president, and that is two teams, LSU and LSU Shreveport, who plays in a lower division, NAIA. So two teams being honored for their national championships. And the president, as expected, is going off script a little bit and talking about a whole bunch of stuff. Just talking about the ballroom in a second ago. We got to take a quick break, and when we come back live now, we'll continue our coverage here. So thanks for joining us on the Wisconsin Live Desk. Quick break, and we'll get you back to the White House right after this.
A two-game series sweep against Coastal Carolina in the College World Series Finals to take the title. That's the 8th national baseball title in LSU history. That's amazing, actually. That's really great. Now, LSU's pitching staff was the best in the conference, leading the nation with 760 strikeouts. Kate Anderson was ranked college baseball's #1 player on the mound. I would like to represent him. I'm leaving the White House immediately. Oh, the money. Oh, somebody's going to make some. Where's Kate? Where is Kate? Where are you, Kate? Come here, Kate. Boy, oh boy, would I like to be doing that, huh? 180 strikeouts, that's a lot. That's almost a record. In Game 1 of the championships, he pitched a complete game shutout, preventing Coastal Carolina from scoring, even though they had one of the best offensive teams in all of baseball. Even a single run they couldn't get, so it's no wonder he was named the College World Series Most Outstanding Player. Cade, thank you very much, Cade, and it's great to have you at the White House. We like winners at the White House, Cade. To advance to the regional championship, LSU faced Dallas Baptist, supposed to be a great team. An outfielder, Chris Stanfield, was, they say, unstoppable. He built an early game momentum with a second-inning home run, contributed multiple RBIs, and brought in an additional run with a sacrifice ground out at the end of the game. And you ended up winning the game, so I think your last sacrifice didn't matter too much because they won the game 12-0. That's not too bad. Where are you? Where are you? Well, look at this guy, huh? Is he that good a player? Is he good? Pretty good, huh? Oh, that's a good team. So to advance to the regional championship, LSU, and if you look at it, LSU has turned out to be named one of the best teams over the last 10 years, according to the experts, of which there are many, but most of them can't play very well, right? Back in Baton Rouge, you had a tense Game 1 on the Super Regional West against West Virginia, with a full court in a fifth inning, a full count. In the fifth inning, the bases were loaded, and sophomore shortstop Stephen Milam launched the ball deep over right center field, securing a grand slam and adding 4 runs to the numbers already up substantially. West Virginia began to mount a comeback in the 6th, but Josh Pearson smashed another grand slam over the wall, carrying the Tigers to victory. So, Josh, where are you? And where, let's see, Malum, where is Malum? Guys have very strong hands, I'm noticing, you know. They're ripping me, they're ripping my hand up. These are strong people. You don't hit those home runs without strong, beautiful hands. You agree with that, Mr. Speaker? How was your baseball? Okay, not bad. Not quite as good. First baseman Jared Jones had one of the most iconic outings of the season during the June 14th, my birthday, College World Series. Thank you very much. Thank you. Flag Day. That was Flag Day. You know that, right? Against the Arkansas Razorbacks. After knocking a home run out of the park earlier in the game, Jared walked up to the plate in the bottom of the 9th with 2 outs, and the score was tied, and they looked like he could be in trouble. And a runner was in second with a 2-1 count. He hit a line drive up the middle, giving the Tigers enough time to rack up a 6th run, sending them straight to the finals, and the rest is history. You know what happened. 10 players of this elite squad are now headed to even greater glory in the Major League Baseball. I think you're going to do all right. I would like to represent every single one. No, I mean, the team must be incredible. Cade Anderson was drafted by the Seattle Mariners, so I think, aren't they playing a big game tonight or something like that? Are you going to be watching that? I think so. You better be watching. I'm so busy I don't get to watch baseball too much. I did watch the other night, however. I turned on, and there happened to be a Japanese player who was not bad. He was one of the best pitchers I've ever seen, one of the best hitters I've ever seen, and that all makes for a nice contract. He's pretty good, right? Pretty amazing when you think. They say one of the best games ever played because you had pitching and hitting at this with the same guy. Pretty exciting. Chase Shores was drafted by the Los Angeles Angels. Where's Chase? Where's Chase? Good. Wow, nice big tall guy. Very good. Good. Anthony Ianson and Jacob Mayers were drafted by the Boston Red Sox. Boy, you have good. Where is Anthony? Is Anthony here? Anthony, right here. Good luck, huh? Good team. Good team. And Ethan Frey was drafted by the Houston Astros. It's another good team. They win a lot, right? Where is he? Where is that guy, huh? Good luck, huh? You feel confident? Feel good? Daniel Dickerson were drafted by the Milwaukee Brewers. Where's Daniel? Congratulations. Good luck, huh? Great. Jared Jones was drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates. Jared, congratulations. Yeah. And Cade Woods, who's not present, who wanted to be here so badly, had a problem, was drafted by the Atlanta Braves. That's fantastic. I mean, that's a lot of talent. By the way, we have somebody here who was drafted in another sport, number one in everything. He was never drafted number 2 or 3. The great Herschel Walker is here, I understand. Where's Herschel? Where's Herschel? Come here, come here, come here. Come here, Herschel. I'm not sure that LSU loves this guy, but they do respect him. There's nobody like, come here. You want to say a couple of words about baseball players? Go ahead.
Hello, how you doing?
I saw him sitting out there. I said, come on, Herschel.
You know, I absolutely love this president, but I didn't ask him to put me on the spot. But anyway, I just want to tell the players, continue to have that determination that you had in baseball carried throughout your life. Because things may get tough, but remember, you can always get up no matter whatever happens, gets up, and continue to fight, fight, fight. All right?
So Connor, thanks, Herschel. What a player he was, huh? Oh boy, couldn't stop him. He'd go around you, but if he couldn't go around you, he'd go right through you, and he'd carry 4 guys on his back for as much as he needed. Nobody better. I think maybe the best in history in college, and he had a great career in the NFL too, and he's a great person. And now he's going to be the ambassador. Come on, name the country, Herschel. He's going to be in the tough job. That's a tough job, right? We'd like to have that job a little bit. We're leaving tonight. Connor Ware was drafted by the New York Mets. Connor, where are you, Connor? Boy, that's a hell of a team. And Luis Hernandez will be joining the Minnesota Twins organization. So I just want to congratulate Luis. Where are you, Luis? Congratulations. I've never seen a team with so many people being drafted into the major leagues. It cannot be a bad team. In fact, I think your record should have been better. That's a hell of a record. So we also have a second amazing team with a big win to celebrate today, the LSU Shreveport Pilots. This year, the Pilots became the first and only college baseball team in history to go a full season totally undefeated. You have... That's not bad. Well, I want these 2 teams to play. You want to do it? I'll do it. We'll get the stadium. I'll pay for it. What the hell? But you had an astounding record of 59 wins and no losses. What the hell is with that? It's in baseball, you know, normally you have like a little bad luck, you lose a game or 2. That's pretty good. You have to say that he did a good job. Pretty darn good. He did a good job. Congratulations. 2 great coaches, 2 great people, too. You also became the first team in the history of LSU Shreveport to bring home a national title. Head coach Brad Neffendorf deserves a special recognition. The Pilots have been in every NAIA national tournament over the past 2 decades. That's pretty amazing, but they never brought home the title until Brad came along. And so Coach of the Year and all of that stuff, these 2 coaches are unbelievable, the top of the line. And I'll be honest, you know, I watch Major League Baseball and other sports, and they keep hiring the same coaches over and over again, right? They get fired, then they hire them again. I'd hire these 2 guys, but I don't want to take them away from your school, so I'm only kidding. Just pretend. I'll end up, you'll all leave, say, that was terrible. You know, they'll both be hired. I'll tell you what, they do a great job, too. During the Red River Athletic Conference Awards, 14 members of the Pilots team received all conference team honors, and 6 players were selected Gold Glove team for excellent defense. I can imagine Isaac Rodey was named Conference Pitcher of the Year for a crushing league with, think of this, a 12-0 record and 114 strikeouts. How about that? 12-0 is not bad. And Kobe Reeves, a left-handed pitcher, was honored as the conference's newcomer of the year. So where are you two guys? Whoops, you're over here, right? That's a fantastic thing. This team fought hard all the way through the last game of the season, the NAIA National Championship against Southeastern University, which supposedly is a great opponent, and your, frankly, opponents quickly took the lead in the first 2 innings, but you refused to fold or quit or do the thing that we're used to seeing a lot of people do in Washington. They quit, they fold. We don't fold, do we, huh? We don't fold. Jose Saloren, who is supposed to be a terrific prospect for the future, drove in 2, and Anthony Swenda scored on a wild pitch. In the next inning, the game was tied. Where's Anthony? Is he here? Anthony, good going. Come here, Anthony. Get over here. Southeastern pulled ahead again, but the Pilots answered in a thunderous fashion. Home runs by Jackson Searing and Ian Montz, and they say they're tremendous prospects also. And clutch RBIs from Ryan Davenport and Austin Gome turned the tide very quickly. By the 8th inning, the Pilots were in full command, adding 3 more runs before slamming the door shut. When it was over, the scoreboard read 13-7, and the Pilots were national champions. Wow, that's great, fellas. So together, how about the record of these 2 teams together? You know, you put them together, you win, I think you win the World Series, period. A lot of you are going to be in Major League Baseball. We'll be watching you for a long time to come, and it's amazing. Great athletes, great-looking, young, wonderful people. Together, these teams made history and won Louisiana's unparalleled glory on the college baseball diamond, dominating not 1 but 2 leagues in a single year. Think of that. You dominated each league. You dominated. It's pretty unheard of. But there is something about your state. You're really special state. And when you look at the kind of love here, you get a lot of the parents here that are so proud of what they have produced. Some of them are thinking about dollar signs. They're saying, others are just saying, how handsome is my son, right? But regardless, I just think it's amazing. It's a great tribute to the state. And I want to introduce now, to say a few words, another winner. He's taken over a situation where we had a majority of 2. Nobody knows what a majority of 2. We actually had a couple of moments where we were a majority of 1 person, and I said, you know, and it was terrible that I said this, but I said it. I said, Speaker, we're 1 heart attack away from losing the majority, right? And the Speaker said, please, I don't want to think about that. But we hung in, right, Steve? We hung in, and we got everything we wanted, the great, big, beautiful deal, the biggest ever produced. Think of it, with a majority of, I guess at that time we were like a majority of 4. And I had to make calls at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock. You don't want to do this, fellas. Just keep playing baseball. It's more fun. I got a call from the Speaker. Sir, we have 7 hard no's. And I'd say, that's not good. This was at 3 in the morning. We needed the vote by early in the morning. And I had to call people at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. I say, Jim, he said, you have my vote, sir. Oh, I thought he was a hard no. He just wanted me to call him. Then I'd call another one. Hi, Jack. It's 3:14 in the morning. Hi, Jack. Sir, you have my vote. Oh. So the hard no's turned out not to be that hard, John. They just wanted me to call them, you know? They couldn't just raise their hand like they're supposed to. They wanted me to call. And we ended up winning, and it's the single biggest bill ever passed in the history of Congress, because we ultimately got the Senate too. And what we don't want to say is that it's actually so full of things. I mean, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, the biggest tax cut in history, the biggest deductions ever taken, job-producing deductions, $50 billion to rural hospitals. We took care of Medicaid, Medicare, we took care of everything. And we did something that people didn't know. We didn't know where we'd stand in a year or 2 years from now. So we put every single thing that we wanted in that bill for 4 years. So we don't need any more votes. All we want to do is have a vote of continuation. And it's the first time in history that a group has not voted for continuation. So they have what's called a Trump derangement problem. Have you heard about that problem? Because that's the only reason this could be possible. But I think we're doing very well. I think they're going to have no choice but to go along because the country is setting records in every way and people want it to continue that way. So we're hoping the Democrats become much less deranged and that we will get the vote pretty soon. And I hear they're starting to feel that way too. They're starting to feel like they really have to do what's right for the country, and they will. But I want to just introduce Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. He's fantastic. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I'll be very brief. We want to thank you for being such a gracious host and having us out to recognize this excellence, and it really is. Louisiana's punching way above our weight limit, and this is the pride of the state right now. These guys behind me, they worked so hard, and they did it with class, Mr. President. They had grit and determination and integrity, and it's so good to see that pay off. And Louisiana's, as you said, a special state, filled with great people, great fan base. The parents are part of that. You have the Board of Supervisors and the board over the LSU system. And we recognize South and North Louisiana delivering these great titles, great championships, and it's really been something. And we want to thank you for your tremendous record and all you're doing right now. I mean, this president has not only reduced taxes, as we said, we've cut fraud, waste, and abuse out of government. He's solved the border crisis. He's solving the crime crisis. Oh, that's right. He's also resolving wars around the world, but he still takes time. That's right. He still takes time to recognize the leaders of the next generation, and that means so much to all of us. I know it does. I have a personal connection to both schools, sir. You know, I'm a double alum from LSU and Baton Rouge, undergrad and law school. My daughter's the same. She's sitting here with me, Hannah. But I grew up in the shadow of LSUS, literally just south of the campus. We lived in a little neighborhood there, and I used to go play baseball on the field over there at the school. So this really runs deep for all of us, and it means so much to us. It means so much to us that you're here to help celebrate. And I get the honor of introducing the first of the two coaches to speak, and both of these men are extraordinary. Their records speak for themselves. The way they've led these young guys, the way that they've shown them the way. I've loved the demeanor of both of these gentlemen and how they do it. They're extraordinary coaches, and they could coach in the majors, you're right. But we hope they stay where they are for just a little while longer. But I'm going to recognize the first one here, and there's a lot of reasons why Coach Jay Johnson is recognized as one of the greatest coaches, because he does so well. He has all-star recruiting classes because he's able to go out and do that so well. He has elite pitching development. He's had an incredible record of postseason success, as you all know, and as was noted, he's brought home not one but 2 titles in 3 years to LSU, which is a historic legacy that we have. I was there in the 90s when we were winning these things, and it's great to be doing it again. The 7th and 8th national titles now delivered by one of our favorite people, and we're delighted. I'm delighted to welcome him up to say a few words, if you will. Coach Jay Johnson, thank you so much.
Mr. President, thank you for having us in your home. I think the main thing I take away from you is work ethic. Something we preach, and nobody works harder for America than you. So thank you for setting a good example. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Leader, thank you so much for getting us here. It's an honor. It's an honor of a lifetime to be in the house of the greatest country in the world, and these guys had to do it on the field to make that happen, but we're here because of your efforts, and to have Louisiana so well represented by you two is outstanding. We are the college baseball capital of the world for 2025. Well represented in Washington as well. Governor Landry, here we're coming to your house tomorrow night, and we're really fired up about that, so thank you for having us. It's awesome. About 34 games into the year last year, I just started telling these guys I could coach this team forever. And I could do it because they embodied our mission, and our mission for the season last year was tough and together. To have the mental toughness to, no matter the circumstances, keep your head, execute your job at the highest level. They were the best in the country at that. And then the togetherness. You heard about all the draft picks. All these guys have their entire lives and world in front of them, but they made it about winning. They made it about LSU, and they made it about the team. And there's the honor of my lifetime to coach this national championship team and to be the coach at LSU. So I want to thank my team on this national stage, because not only were they the national champions, they're the best baseball team in America last year. So thank you guys. So I thought we did well, but this man did pretty well at 59-0. So I'm going to turn it over to him. Coach Neffendorf, great job. And it's an honor to share the stage with you and your championship team as well.
First off, I want to speak on behalf of our university administration and our athletic department for such a wonderful day, and our coaching staff and our players for which we are recognizing here today. We're extremely honored to be here, excited, and I know our guys have been jacked up about it, not only just for the recognition, but you guys are recognizing the way where they get to be together one more time, and that says that for both teams up here, and no better way to do that. I could sit up here and talk to you about our team.